Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Magic with Zuby. My name is Zuby, and if you're brand new to this show, the show is all about a little well-known card game called Magic the Gathering. So on today's episode, we brought on none other than the Trash Master himself, Garbage Andy. Brought him on and we talked about anything and everything, and yeah, I mean literally anything and everything. So a lot of heavy talking there, and you can probably hear my cat in the background because my cat is going through her time of the month. Come here, kitty. Come here. You all want to see the kitty? You all want to see the kitty? Come here. Come here. Come here, baby girl. Come here. Come on. Come on. I'm recording right now, and I'm going to put this on. Come on. Come here. Oh, just look at her. Look at how beautiful she is. Look at the camera. Or everybody listening to the episode can't see you or anything, but just look at the beautiful orange baby that she is. Well, anyways, so brought on Garbage Andy, aka Andy, who is a Magic the Gathering Twitch streamer, and we had a lot of fun having him on. And of course, now my cat is just gonna love on my monitor that houses my webcam, and of course she's gonna run away now, and she's like, nope, too much love. Anyways, so yeah, we brought him on, and yeah, so if you want to help support the show, you can help support the show at Magic with Zuby, or at patreon.com/magicwithzuby, and you can check out my sponsor, cardsphere.com, the best place to buy, trade, and sell your Magic singles and sealed product. And you can find me on Twitter at magicwithzuby, on Instagram at magic__zuby, on TikTok at mtgzuby, and I think that's YouTube is where this show is also found at. And on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify is also where you can find this podcast at. So without further ado, let's introduce Andy. So hey everybody, it's Zuby here again, and I've got with me none other than Garbage Andy, aka Garbage Andy?
Andrew.
Trash Andrew. The
Either one. There's like 15 nicknames at this point.
Go pick up by the curb, Andrew.
Yeah, whichever. Like just any sort of garbage, really. Dumpster Fire Drew is one of my favorites.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Where'd you get that nickname?
Do you know Jamie Topples?
Yes.
Streamer?
Mm-hmm.
She's one of my good friends. I forget where we originated this name, but it's my nickname in her Discord server. And I don't remember if I came up with it or if somebody said it to me and then it just stuck. So yeah, it's one of my favorite nicknames, and it originated there.
So that means you must be a pretty good Magic player, right?
I mean, I'm all right. I call myself Garbage. That's an interesting story actually with the name, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good at Magic, but I'm not like a pro or anything like that. Never done a pro tour.
Oh, okay. Have you tried to do the competitive scene before?
No. Do you want to get into that, like my
Sure.
history?
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
So I have been playing Magic for like 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
I started when I was a kid in like 1999, like 2000-ish. And I went from collecting Pokemon cards directly into Magic because as a kid who was getting a little bit older, I was like, wait, this is cool and scary and weird. And I remember, just as a kid, you're addicted to cracking packs. That's all it is, right?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
go to the store. And like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's still somewhat like this, but you'd go into like a convenience store and it would be like cards you could buy. It wasn't just like, I don't know, any mom and pop shop, not just like a CVS or anything like that, would have like Pokemon or Magic cards behind the counter.
Oh yeah.
And so I'd go in with my mom and my brother, and there would be Magic cards, and I was like the covers and the sets of Magic cards always stuck out a lot. Like I remember the Odyssey block very clearly.
It looked so mature back then too.
Yeah, it's so much more mature back then. Like it was evocative, and so I'd see those packs and I'd be like, I want to get that. And for some reason it was cool with my mom, and so I'd get those cards, and I remember just opening packs and being like, damn, this is scary and weird. And I always was like fascinated with stuff like that. Like I remember I saw the movie It when I was way too young, and it scared the shit out of me. Sorry, can we swear, by the way?
Oh yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, cool. It scared the hell out of me, and but I was like obsessed with it because I thought it was cool and weird, and it like left a mark. And Magic was similar.
Oh, dude,
So
that's
anyway,
what.
I collected. What was that?
I don't know. I was gonna say that the movie that did similar to me, which probably got me hooked on Magic that young, because I started at Urza Saga as a
Mhm.
kid, was Nightmare on Elm Street. Movie just
Classic.
stuck on me forever.
Yeah, and for me at least, sometimes those movies and games or whatever are the ones that end up being your favorites because they leave a mark and they're like you remember them or for they impact you and for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
So I grew up collecting them and loving the art, and I played like many people before when they were kids, I'm sure, wrong. I played the game like completely wrong with my neighbors and my brother and whatever, and it was mostly just I liked the art and I thought the cards were cool. Um, and then I took a really long break because I got to become like a teenager, like an early teen, and I was just like, card games aren't cool anymore. Video games are the cool thing. And so I took a really long break from like 2002, 3 or 4 until 2015 when I was in college, and my brother found out there was a magic club at the school we both attended, and uh, I was like, yeah, let's check it out. And it was around the Tarkir era, or like
Oh, so
2014,
good.
so like right
Yeah.
when Tarkir was like kind of ending, and I ended up getting back into it pretty hard, and then I went to my first pre-release with my brother at a local game store for Origins, and that was the first set I ever did limited for. Um, was for Origins, and so I got hooked from that. I just thought it was really cool. The game store owner and like a few of the patrons there were really cool, and I got into drafting and doing pre-releases and stuff. And so I would do that for the next few years up until around like 2016, Kaladesh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would do it sparsely. Like I wasn't out there drafting and doing every pre-release every Friday or whatever. I would just go when my brother would go with me and whatever. And Kaladesh, I was drafting when I first moved to Brooklyn for the first time from Long Island. So there was a cool LGS that let you drink in there, and I would go after work. I would take the F train to this sweet local game store called the Brooklyn Strategist in Carroll Gardens, and I would like have a beer or wine and play Magic, and it was super fun. And then I took another break. So like like after I moved out of that first apartment in 2016, 2017, I stopped playing Magic until around this last year. I still collected, I still bought boxes, I still played casually with my brother every now and again, but I didn't draft or go to pre-releases and stuff. So yeah, I got back into Magic largely because I was streaming again, but always been a fan of Limited and the game in general.
Nice. Nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, limited is. If I had to choose between Commander and Limited, I'd probably choose Limited at this point, because that's pretty much all I play now as far as constructed formats is Commander. I don't
Yeah, me too.
do any. Like, I used to be so hardcore into Standard, Modern, Legacy, and then War of the Spark came out and killed Modern Legacy in my area. Um, Still a little bitter about that set.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you've been streaming, I want to say, because you started last year, didn't you? Really?
Yeah. I'm part of what I like to call the COVID crew.
The
That's what
COVID
some of
crew.
us call each other.
Oh,
There's a
nice.
few there's a few limited streamers in particular I've made friends with like G Guards, Kanata Live, Metal Mario, um, and even a few more that are just started around when COVID happened, and a lot of us started working from home or having different life circumstances, and that's when I started. But I didn't start streaming Magic until October of 2020. I was variety and figuring out if I wanted to take it seriously up until that point. And then I made the full-on switch to just streaming Magic around then, which was
So,
great.
so you're a Twitch partner now, right?
No, not quite.
No.
I'm
Oh,
getting
oh,
close.
oh. Okay. I thought you were, or or maybe you said you were, so you're getting close to it.
Close, yeah.
So is the goal to become like a full-time content creator then for you, or
I would like to do that for sure. Yeah.
so what is it that attracts you to want to do that?
Uh, I just think it's really fun, and I like being my own boss. And like, so I'm a creative person as my day job. Like, I edit ads right now. I
Mm-hmm.
work full time at an ad agency in New York City, and I've always loved making my own stuff. I went to film school, and I've worked on and off of different projects for years at this point. But I like being in control of what I'm making, and like it's weird because I never thought of myself enjoying the idea of being an influencer or like content creator.
Mm-hmm.
But um as you adapt to being like, wait, I really like this, is there a next step for it? You kind of learn if that's for you or not. And I do enjoy a lot of those things. So um I mean, it's tough, man. It's like my number one goal for over a year has been to partner on Twitch, and I'm just getting close now. Like, I have, I think, 71 average viewers for the last month, and you need
Oh
75 to get there.
dang, just 4 away. Wow.
Yeah. So it's getting close, and it is what it is. It's not like I'm gonna die or whatever. Like, I'm in no
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
rush. It's once that happens, I'll be really happy. But it's the money is a very interesting aspect to it all. And I've talked to my friend Kanata about this a bunch, who she is like a big inspiration in a lot of ways, but she's also very close to partner, probably applied already, and hopefully will get it soon. But it's a philosophy just around like doing what you like to do and what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's become a lot more important to me in the last year from COVID. I think a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people can relate to that, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure, because
And
I think
so,
the whole like mindset of a lot of people has changed because of that either having to work from home or be forced to like either be forced off your job or be on furlough or whatever. It's given a lot of people time to think about that kind of stuff. Like, what do they really enjoy, right?
yeah, I'm definitely part of that crew. And so, I mean, I make a good income and living editing, and I like what I do. It's not like I'm not happy at my job and I'm just like, well, I found something and that's it. It's not an easy decision, especially because in America, as you know, it's kind of hard to do these things when you have benefits. And I have a good 401k and healthcare, and it's like those are considerations every time I think to myself, I want to change and do this. And the bar will like it's hard to accept, but likely the bar will never be as high or even as close to as high as like what I have at my day job right now. So there's this challenge, I think, of understanding what you're willing to give up to be happy doing what you do every day or most of your time. But I think that alone says it right there, right? It's like most of your time. Because think about it, we work the majority of our lives, right? At least
Mm-hmm.
most of us do. So it's like, do you want to be super happy every time you wake up and you're like, I'm going to stream Magic today and I might make 15 grand a year or 20 grand a year and struggle a little bit, but I'm happy? Or do you rather make like, six figures working on corporate stuff and, not being as happy every day, and your job pays the bills, but you go home and you don't have as much time or whatever it may be. So that's I think the biggest struggle. But the ultimately what I do want to do is mostly make content and then freelance and make money editing to live and pay for insurance and whatever.
Now you bring up a really good point because that's something that I've always thought about because Um, so basically, the content I enjoy doing the most is podcasting. Right? I like streaming. Definitely, like most people, I streamed a hell of a lot more last year because it's even in my job, I was just really slow for a long time, and
Mhm.
and I enjoy what I do at my day job. And so, but the thing that I really enjoy the most is podcasting. But podcasting, I mean, I'd have to be like levels of like command zone, right? yeah, command zone, yeah, command zone
Yep.
levels of popularity, and that's like in Magic, that's not going to happen. It's like it's
Yeah.
when you think about Magic podcasts, it's there's not a whole lot of popularity. Streaming is definitely more viable than podcasting, and same with maybe if I focused on YouTube, but I don't enjoy that, you know? Like I like streaming, but I wouldn't want to do it every day and all that
Is
cuz
it is it like a person thing? Like you like talking to people? You like that the back and forth
yeah. Yeah, I
verbally?
like the talking back and forth, and with streaming it's more of I feel like I have to put on a show for people, that I
Hmm.
have to feel like I have to be on and entertaining. Not that I'm not trying to be entertaining now, it's just more this is more easier for me to do and all
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it's a full body exercise when you stream. You know, you're
Yeah.
on camera, you yawn and people note, will be like,
Yeah.
and they yawn and then they're like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
different environment for sure.
And I'm just like I enjoy streaming EDH the most because it's not just me, it's three other people, but it's also trying to get three other people at the same time too, to be able to want to
Yeah.
stream and do that, and that can get tiresome. Like I learned that last year because I was streaming about 3 to 4 days a week, getting people signed up together and just trying to organize all that. That was exhausting itself, just trying to do that on top of this podcast, on top of my job. So it was like just a lot of logistical work.
Yeah. The commander stuff especially is super tiring. Like I was on again, my friend Chanel stream. She did a 15-hour stream yesterday, and I played with two of my other friends, and we it was like a 3.5 hour game out of nowhere, and it was just like, man, if I had to do that every time I streamed, I mean, I play EDH on my stream too. I love it, and I got
Hmm.
into it. Friend Talia Vest, who's just like amazing and
Oh, Talia is
super.
great.
Yeah, I love Talia. She's one of my good friends, and like she got me into it, and I've just been loving playing it on stream. But it's definitely like a bonus thing to do. It's not like a weekly scheduled piece of content. Like I'll get together with other friends or streamers or whatever occasionally, but it's not like a weekly or multiple times a week thing usually, and because it's so tiring. It's like not even just the logistics of getting people together, but just the act of hunching over your table and playing with your camera in an awkward position and like trying to mute yourself when your chat's talking but their chat's not talking. It's just like there's a lot that goes into doing commander on stream that I think
Oh yeah.
takes more energy than just like playing arena for sure.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah. No, and that's another thing. I love Arena, but I don't like streaming it because I don't want people to see me just be all fucking salty and rage quit every time I come across some bullshit Tybalt's trickery deck, 15 times in a row. And I don't play ranked either, so I just go in the play queue the whole time, and I
yeah,
just play stupid jank the whole time.
well,
And
whatever's fun, right?
yeah, I play stupid jank, and I usually do my daily quests. That's about it. But I enjoy. That's what I enjoy with Arena. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you brought up a good point about not showing how angry or tilted you get. I think that's a unique thing with Magic, and I think a lot of other games can induce tilt and like make you upset or angry, but Magic has its own special unique property. For some reason, it's got this like beautifully horrible thing about it where you can transform into a monster on a dime. And I think that is one of the most challenging aspects of playing this game on stream.
Oh
Uh, you
God,
know,
yeah.
not not to mention the fact that it's incredibly difficult to read all the cards and play strategically and play well and whatever, but just how the game can just on a dime get under your skin so horribly and just like try not to um I guess show that part of yourself so vibrantly in front of people. Just like get explosive and angry. I've talked to my friends and fellow streamers about it a lot. It's so difficult to manage it. Um, and there I've gone into streams where a streamer's tilting and I leave, because I'm just for multiple reasons. One, I can relate, and two, it's just not comfortable or fun to watch. It's just like
Yeah.
you're tilted in that environment. You don't want to be around people like that, or you don't want to think about yourself being that way. It's just like super negative and weird. But we all get it. Like every single Magic streamer I've ever watched has tilted on stream and taken
Oh
it out
yeah.
on chat, taking it out on themselves, taking it out on their keyboard, like whatever. And so that's a big challenge, I think, streaming Magic for sure.
I think not just Magic, but you make a good point. I think just like almost any video game, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
but Magic especially bring up a good point because I've definitely noticed ever since Arena has started, right? Like I used to play so much paper Magic, used to be play a lot of competitive REL events and all that. And there'd be times I'd get frustrated, right? Just be like, especially against rules lawyers and stuff like that, like people just edging every single way to try to win over you and all. I
Yeah.
hated those kind of people, but I never found myself got as angry as I would when I would play Arena, though. Like in paper, you could be taking, 5 minutes per turn and whatever. Okay, cool. Whatever. I'm fine. I'm chill. On Arena, it's more like, dear fucking God, hurry the
Yeah.
fuck up. Stop roping me every single time. And it's
Yeah.
got to be because you're not seeing the person on the other
Oh,
side.
absolutely.
You're not
Yeah.
seeing their body language and all that stuff. And, you don't know what's happening on the other side. They could have a shitty computer or they could just be straight up assholes and
Yeah.
want to rope you.
Yeah, that's I think the human element. It's so weird, and that's a huge thing to do with the way that Magic is being played and consumed, especially on like a competitive level. It's like there's such a disconnect of watching like pros sit at their computers with cameras and like whatever commentators play Arena, as opposed to like sitting there at a table sweating, trying to keep their poker faces, and like, there's this really tense, tangible, almost chess boxing match feel to it, where you're just kind of like, wow, this is interesting and unique to watch. um and yeah, I feel that. And so often I find myself whenever an opponent's roping me or whatever, I'm just like, maybe their baby woke up and they have to go tend to the baby, or like
Yeah.
maybe they just shit their pants and they have to like go take care of their pants, or like
They got
you
Arena
never
on
know.
mobile now. Come on.
Yeah, we've got Arena on mobile now, so there's no excuse for that for sure. But yeah, man, it's tilting on Arena is a struggle. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, yeah. But just going back to like the whole economics of trying to be full time streamer, especially in Magic. You mentioned you have a good job, you got good benefits and all that stuff. When do you have a sort of like checkpoint or sort of like checklist in mind of when do you think you'd be able to go full time? Like, do you think to yourself like, all right, I got to make X amount of money before I could even consider making? I got to have X amount saved. What are some of the thoughts that are going through your mind for that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that think that, right? I
Yeah.
see that all the time on Twitter and Instagram. Like people want to become full time, but there's a lot of choices involved in that.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, that's a great question. I've had a checklist for so long, and it's great. I love talking about this stuff because I don't get to very often. It's like the content creation stuff I find is fascinating, but it's not something that you just go in your Discord and you talk to your subs about, or whoever's following on Twitter. It's
Yeah.
not like a and I'm not that type of creator. Like there are creators that are just like, I talk about content creation, and it's like that's not my bag. Like I don't really care to do that, but I'm happy to do it on like a podcast with you or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think about this all the time. I mean, the first checkpoint has always been hit partner, and partnership doesn't guarantee anything. I've seen partners get partnered and go back down to having 13 viewers or whatever. And so there's no guarantee when you partner on Twitch that you are made and you can be making better money.
So,
Um,
so, so what
so
is it that you really get when you become partners? It just you get more cuts of the subs and all that, and ads and all that.
depending on the tier of your partnership, you can negotiate your sub rate, so it's better than 50-50. But I
Okay.
don't ever think I don't think it's ever something so astronomical unless you're like a huge streamer, which is another whole tangent and conversation about the ceiling on Magic the Gathering as a category on Twitch, which is something
We
I
could
think
get into
about a
that.
lot.
Yeah.
I think about that type of thing a lot, and I don't think a lot of people do, or at least don't consider it as heavily as they should, maybe. But yeah, so partnership is one because it does bring an air of legitimacy. It opens up doors for partnerships and other things that I think can lead you to making other um, income from multiple sources, which is another important thing about streaming full time. Like very, very, very like there's a handful of streamers in the world that can just live off their subs and their donations and bits or whatever. There's very few people that can do that. So you're always trying to make money. That's why you see many Magic streamers that are Channel Fireball affiliates or are with TCG Player or another brand that will give you a kickback on whatever sales on your code or whatever, and that's just a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it opens more doors when you get partnered. And then another thing, and it's personal to me, and it's my main consideration, is how I can navigate becoming freelance or part-time or maintaining some semblance of connection to my current job, while also being full-time making my own content. And I've talked about this with my boss, and a lot of people, my parents included, are like, it's scary to say, like, I've talked to my boss about leaving and how I'm growing in this field. But in the field I work in, and especially with my boss, she's a very accepting, understanding, creative person. And she knows that editors are not people that are going to stay in your building for their whole lives. This is a field, especially in New York City. The job market in general in New York City is I work somewhere 2 to 5 years, I leave, I get a promotion elsewhere. There's very few jobs
Yeah.
that enable you to climb the ladder traditionally, like in any other job in New York, especially in the creative field. So um, it's a balance of maintaining a relationship while being honest and seeing if there's some world where I can make money securely by editing still, be it there or any other freelance avenue, and then stream as supplemental income. Because the reality is that at least at first, it's not going to be your main income.
Yeah.
And you have to spread yourself out in so many ways, like YouTube and socials and whatever else, and hiring an editor if you need to, and not just doing it all yourself, which is what I do. But that's just because I know how to do it and I can do it efficiently without having to sacrifice so much of my time. So yeah, the main two things are like getting to the point where I feel like my stream has gotten to be legitimate enough where I can have more partnerships, and then finding a way to maintain. Once I hit that, that's when the conversations I think will escalate to the point of like, can I be freelance? Can I do this and move out of state? Or do you need me to come back to the office? Whatever. So those are the main things.
Dude, what
And
scares me,
everything.
and biggest thing that scares me, and this is probably just affects more U.S. people more than anything. It's the healthcare insurance,
Yeah.
insurance in general.
Mhm.
Not just healthcare, but vision, dental, all that stuff. Because you don't realize how much your job actually pays for that stuff, year by year, and what even though your premiums can be a lot, depending on your job and all that stuff. But when you go solo, you know, it can be pretty expensive. Like, does that factor in at all for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but the 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 health insurance thing is scary and weird. And luckily, I mean, I'm turning 30 this year, but I'm still like young enough, I feel, where I can get away with not having the best premium insurance of all time. Um, so I wouldn't mind having some sort of like lower end healthcare for a few years while I get on my feet with the content stuff. But of course, that's like the biggest thing, right? Because if we had universal healthcare or whatever, I wouldn't worry so much. I wouldn't have to. There would be way less of a consideration of whether or not this is feasible if I didn't have to worry that, oh, I got sick and I can't do anything. I have
How
to pay
fucked up
thousands.
is that, man?
Yeah,
It,
I mean, there's a lot of Americans that feel our way. I think like a ton.
oh, I know. It frustrates me because I'm in healthcare. I've worked healthcare for over 10 years now, and it's it's fucking bullshit. Just I have what's considered to be really good health insurance and all that stuff for me and my wife and kids and all that, but it's all it takes is for one of them to get super sick with something, and it's like we're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of things, or not a lot, but like sizable things happen in my youth that cost my parents a lot of money. And if they didn't have enough money, like I don't know what they would have done. I mean, I had to have a heart procedure when I was in high school. I had
Jesus
extensive dental
fuck.
work. Yeah, I had a lot of things.
Dan, that's happening with my teenager right now. It's like
Oh yeah,
past couple years, like we had to get her knee surgery because she took a
yeah,
nasty fall, and
yeah,
even with insurance, I still had to pay a shit ton of money out of pocket. We're talking like 4 or 5 grand and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Tens of
It's
dollars,
like
thousands.
why the fuck do I even have insurance?
Yeah, well, the scary thing is it would be 50 grand if you didn't.
I know,
I
right?
mean,
See, that's what's even more fucked up.
it's a racket, man.
It
It's
is.
like, I mean, it's super shitty. It's just kind of the way that capitalism is built, you know. And I'm not gonna just sit here and be like capitalism, yada yada. I mean, I could get into that because I feel that way, but I just, it's a shame. Everything is an industry. Every single thing is out to make money. And every time we complain about WotC and their greed, like just remember, like the health insurance industry and pharmaceuticals are like tenfold worse.
Oh, I
And
know.
that's for your health and safety, not for your card game. So like, you know,
Right?
if Wizards was charging prices and being as greedy as pharmaceutical companies were, I think we would likely not play as much Magic as we do already. Uh, so it's a shitty situation, man, and it's the worst consideration to do what you love to do, right? It's like, I don't know what the solution is. It's a lot of different things, but um, it's a major factor that's keeping me from just today committing to doing something that I love to do. I'll say that.
It sucks. It's like it kind of reminds me back in what was it? I want to say like 2009, 2010. I think what year did StarCraft 2 come out? Was it 2010? I think it was.
Yeah, around then.
When StarCraft 2 came out and when esports was starting to become more of a mainstream thing, like with MLG coming in
Mm-hmm.
coming into more popularity, and then Justin TV before Twitch, and people started streaming video games and all that more and more. And how I always remember a lot of the conversation was, gearing back towards other countries besides America, like how these other countries could support these younger people becoming full-time streamers or full-time esports players, all of a sudden, because they have the infrastructure to do so, because not only for like healthcare, they have housing that they can get around together, like either government paid. South Korea is a good example, right? Even before StarCraft 2, they had their own StarCraft professional gaming league for StarCraft Brood War, and you could even get like a professional gaming license that was from the government and all that stuff, and live in some sort of government housing to be part of whatever StarCraft league, right? That South Korea was years and decades ahead of anybody for that stuff, and I still remember that being a conversation, like how is America ever going to get to that level of that kind of infrastructure for esports? And we're starting to see it slowly now, especially for a lot more of the popular games like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, or whatever, the Fortnite, whatever the hell else is really popular.
Yeah.
And you starting to see full-time Twitch streamers starting to become a thing now too. But dude, it's still we're miles behind other countries though for that,
Yeah.
because we just don't get a lot of support from our government. And don't get me wrong, like I'm trying to say like, oh, we need handouts and all that stuff, right? It's just more of, there's really not a whole lot of fallback plan for people trying to pursue careers like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of allocation of funds, though. It's not even like handout. I mean, we think about how much money we put into our military. If you put like a 99th of that into arts and supporting that type of career, it would be more viable. And that's just the reality of it, right? Like if you put like 1 billion out of $100 billion towards that, then I mean, other countries like Denmark and Norway do stuff like that. I don't know if Denmark, but I remember I went to school with a bunch of Norwegian friends of mine, and they were always incentivized to go to other countries. And I didn't go to a very popular college. I went to a university on Long Island that my mom worked at, so I was able to get free tuition. And that was
Oh,
like a
nice.
really lucky thing for me and my family to get. But a lot of the student base there in film school were Norwegian and Swedish, and they were incentivized to come there to get out of their country, and they had funding for housing. Like my ex-girlfriend was from Norway, and she had a stipend every single month to pay for the food at the school or like the
Jesus.
housing, and that's from the government. That wasn't from anybody else. It was, or like their high school. It was from the government. They'd get a stipend every single month, $900 or whatever it was, to pay for living expenses. We don't get any of that here. I mean, yeah, there's always this idea that, make yourself in America, that American dream or whatever. But I think a lot
Hmm.
of that is super faded and superficial in 2021. I think the rest of the world realized, you know, wait a minute, we can like kind of help each other, and it's not to the expense of however X amount of population. So why don't we do it? And America is still out here like, go get them. Like you can be rich if you want to. Like be Elon Musk. It's easy. And it's like, nah, like we can't. We can't do that. And a lot more people would be happier and more successful if they had that relief. And yeah, I mean, a lot of those people that I know, talented filmmakers now, and they make great work and they work in America. And I just think about all the kids that didn't go to film school
Hmm.
because their parents or their families were like, you won't make money that way. You've got to be a lawyer, like that's just how you're going to survive in America and you'll make good money or whatever. I'm one of the lucky few that has a job out of film school, but like, there's lots of kids that just don't get to do those things straight up because of money. That's the reality in America. It's not be whatever you want to be and make money. It's more like be these select things and survive, or else you're not going to have health insurance and you'll like get pneumonia and die or some shit.
And dude,
So,
it's scary out there because my oldest, she's gonna be 18 coming this July, and she'll be graduating next year from high school. But I think back to when I was her age, because I moved out on my own when I was 20 with
mhm.
my wife. She was my then girlfriend. And we struggled. We were on the struggle bus for like a long time. It was tough, but I mean, we made it. We barely made it. Like, I think I was making $10 an hour. She was making minimum wage and all that stuff. But put it combined, it's like we were struggling and had just enough money to be able to pay rent and maybe have a little bit of food and all that. And
Yeah.
but I think to my 18-year-old now, and see how much renting an apartment is or something like that. Even here in Florida, right? I'm not near Tampa. Like I'm not near any big major any of the big major cities or anything. I'm just north of Tampa, and dude, rent here for like a 1-bedroom apartment's like 1,200 $1,300 a month.
Hmm.
Like how the hell is a kid gonna afford that on minimum wage or even $10 an hour? You know,
No, they can't. They
there's
can't.
no fucking way.
It's
And
so different now. It's like
yeah,
so much worse.
and it's weird because even when I was like 20 moving out, like things were still fucking expensive, right? Like
Yeah.
my wife and I made it work. We struggled like badly, But if they had been today's prices, we still would have been probably living with our parents or something like that. You
Yeah,
know?
a lot of people are. I have a lot of friends, and even myself. I mean, with my family right now, and I could be living on my own. It's also part of the circumstance. I I lived in an apartment, my favorite place I ever lived in Brooklyn for 4 years last year, and I had a one bedroom in a nice spot next to Prospect Park, and I got COVID like early, so like around like late February, early March, I got COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right when everything was panicked, and New York was not adapting fast enough whatsoever, and I got to go into the supermarket or something probably. I remember the people there not wearing masks as they would like line the shelves right as the pandemic was starting. And I got sick, and then I came home because I lived in a one bedroom apartment, and I was like, I don't want to face this alone. Like if I get like super sick, like I want to be with my family that who can
Yeah.
like take me to the hospital or some shit. So I went home, and I only recently in the last few months moved out officially, which was super hard because I've been working from home from the office. My office is in like Soho in Manhattan, and I was living in Brooklyn taking the train in every day. But like I didn't want to let go of my apartment for like a year, and it was still such a hard decision because it was like I didn't know if I wanted to ever come back or if I even want to go back to the city now. Like so much, my life has drastically changed in the last year. Like way more. Like if COVID never happened, I'd be at the same apartment or probably even a bigger or nicer one at this point. I would have moved out and like changed my location or something. And instead, I'm like living with my family. And it's not because I can't afford to live anywhere else, but it's largely because of like the change in my life. If I felt passionately about being in New York City and that I would want to live there long term and that my job is like my favorite thing and whatever, then I wouldn't have moved and I would have been there
Mm-hmm.
much longer. But the back and forth between there and here, after I got better from having COVID and this year, I realized how much I don't want to live there forever and pay and rent the thing is just renting my life away. That's the problem I have. And it's so hard to save money. I was paying like $1,800 and then plus
Fuck.
utilities or whatever a month for
Holy
a one
shit.
bedroom, and that's like amazing. That's like amazing in New York City.
Really? Holy
The amount
shit.
of- For the amount of space that I had a living room. I had like a pretty nicely sized kitchen. It was an old building, um, but I had a lot of space for a one bedroom apartment for just me living there. So like, yeah, and
Wow.
so I'm saving a lot of money. The plan right now, and goes back to your other question with like steps and whatever and considerations. But right now, I've just been saving as much money as I can so that I can put a down payment on a house or like move out of state. Because the reality is I am not going to be able to live in New York unless I'm upstate in the middle of nowhere, uh, and stream. I just can't. I can't unless I'm living with a partner or roommates, whatever the situation is, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that right now. So I've been looking at different places around the country and weighing options of just like straight up moving like out of state
Wh-
to stream in a more, affordable location and have a home someday.
where have you been looking at?
Um, I've been looking in like Pennsylvania and Texas. I mean, I have friends in both of those places.
Nice.
So, um,
You don't want to come down to Florida?
I mean, if it's affordable, I don't, I like it's mostly there's a lot of considerations with that. I've never lived out of New York before.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I've never lived out
but
of Florida and all that. I mean, I've traveled all over the U.S. and all that, but
yeah, I mean, I've been to every state pretty much. I've been to like 43 states or something like that. I did a tour in 2013 with my friends, and we did a
nice.
lap. I like to say we did a lap around the country. There's some of the middle I didn't see, but the rest of it pretty much hung out in every state.
All the middle looks the same anyway, for the most part.
Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of it in general looks the same,
It really
but
does, right? Like that's the thing. I remember first leaving Florida for the first time when I was a kid, and the biggest change to me was the hills and mountains.
yeah,
were like the biggest changes to me because Florida's so flat,
Hmm.
and that would like just going up a hill or something was like, oh my god, this is so exciting.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely jarring when you're not used to that.
Yeah, or especially mountains too. Like that was, oh man. Even now when I have to travel, I haven't traveled since before COVID, but even then, still seeing mountains, I still get excited about it
Oh, I
because
mean, me too. There's obviously some in New York,
yeah,
if you travel, and there's some on the East Coast, but like I went to the Olympic National Park in Washington for the first time in like 2016,
nice.
and the mountains there were like uh it made me feel like I was like dizzy. I'd be on a hill and I'd look at a mountain and like you'd be on one mountain looking at another one and you would be like this perspective is not something that I could have fathomed without seeing it myself.
Oh, dude, I should try to dig up some pictures of some of the mountains we climbed in South Korea because it's just same exact thing. You'd go up one mountain and see like even taller ones. You're like, oh shit! Just it was the view was amazing, and all that. Just
Yeah.
being able to see the city below and countryside behind you and all that, and it's like
Yeah.
Nissa cosplay
Mhm.
and all that. I know there's been times where she's posted photos of like what's right outside her house, and it's like this gorgeous fucking mountain view, like right outside her bedroom window and all that. I'm like, can you imagine waking up to that every day? Like,
Yeah.
how could you ever have a bad day? You know?
Yeah. I guess the grass is always greener, right? It's always
Oh
what you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have. It's always what you don't have that's interesting, I think.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, well,
But
hey, you come to Florida, you wake up and smell the swamp and see Florida man going down the street.
yeah, Florida is a very interesting, unique place in America.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I've lived here all my life. It's been now that I'm a homeowner, I've been a homeowner for about 5-6 years now, and I'm getting a little tired of it because mainly of hurricanes and all that.
Yeah.
And but it's like I think about where else would I go because I think about natural disasters and stuff like that, and my wife doesn't want to move anywhere where it snows, so I tell her like, well, you're kind of limited on where you want to go at that point. Like she doesn't want to go where it snows, and she doesn't like the desert. So I'm like,
Hmm.
well, fuck. We're definitely not going to move to California. That's too fucking expensive over there.
Yeah. Have you thought about Texas?
And Texas is possible, but they still get hit by hurricanes too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure if you go maybe more west, it's not as bad, but like over on the East Coast, they get hit by hurricanes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, closer to the water.
Yeah. But
It's yeah, that's weird.
dude, they just had that Texas freeze this past winter too.
Yeah, that was insane.
Over in Austin, and like, well, actually, a lot of Texas got affected by it. And dude, when I read more about how their power grid works, I'm like, fuck that noise! Like how their power grid isn't regulated by the government and all that, and people who did have power, they had to pay like $10,000 because they all share like their power grid or whatever, however it works. But I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
weird.
yeah, just like fuck that noise. I don't know.
Yeah, Talia was out of power for a while.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
She's in Texas. I forgot about that.
yeah, she's in like the Houston area.
Hmm.
We got to do a charity stream together for Houston Food Bank, which was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, like right after it happened and she got power back and stuff, we got together and we played EDH and we raised like $3,500, which was incredible.
That's awesome.
Maybe a little bit more. And then Alan from Mental Misplay, I don't know if you know Mental Misplay.
I've heard of them.
He
Yeah.
he hit me up and was like, "How much did you raise?" And I was like, 3.5K. I'm so excited. It was like a 1 day stream and we raised so much money. And he was like, "All right, I got you," and just matched the entirety of it.
Oh shit. That's
Straight up.
awesome.
And I think he has like access to accounts that give him funds for charities and stuff. I'm not really 100% sure, but we ended up raising like $7,500 or
Dude, that's
7,000.
awesome.
Yeah, it was a really really good stream. Gavin Verhey was on with me, and then my friend Ground is Lava, who's a Californian and musician.
Who
He's
knew
awesome.
Gavin? Who knew Gavin was like good at Magic? Because I've played EDH with him. We had him on stream. I want to say sometime last year. Me, Pixie, and I forgot who the other person was.
Yeah.
Me and Pixie had him on stream, and he whooped our asses.
Well,
Like,
he used to be a pro or as
yeah,
close to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I had him
Decent.
on the podcast too last year, and just going over like his little like Magic career, and yeah. Oh, that's right. It was Efren of Cardsphere. Um,
Okay.
was on the cast with us, and yeah, he's a little decent at Magic, I'd have to say. He's okay.
Decent. I've never lost to Gavin. The furthest I got was I played another charity thing with him, and he played Carter Doomscourge before the card was released, like before Kaldheim came out. And I
Oh
thought that was
shit.
the coolest thing ever. Yeah, he had like a goad deck where everybody had to attack each other, and then and then it was just me and him left, and he ended up like drawing really well, and it was really fun to play with him. He's a great dude. It's
Oh yeah.
kind of insane how like humble and amazing the Magic community is.
Oh
Everyone's
yeah.
willing to like hang out and help each other grow and make content together. I love that about it.
Yeah, no, that's
Magic.
shit, that's what's kept me going with this podcast for 5 years now. I mean, I've met some of my best friends on here, like Total MTG. He and I started around the same time together. He's like my UK brother from another mother. Um, and I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I think so. I think probably there's
He,
so many people
oh, I
that
know, I know.
circulate.
And what's crazy to me is I've said this so many times is like when Magic Arena started becoming a thing, the amount of content creators blew up insanely. Because
Yeah.
so I started the podcast back in 2016, like before Magic Arena, and I knew pretty much almost all the content creators at that point, or at least the more well-known ones, and there weren't a lot of streamers back then too, because barely anyone streamed Magic online. There was like
Hmm.
maybe 5 to 10 people total at any one given time, and it was more in YouTube. And then when Arena came, dude, I can't even keep up with like all the content creators now. Especially like last year when it all blew up, it's just couldn't keep up. It's too much. It's too many.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are gonna stick with it and like
I don't know.
continue content going into the next few years after having COVID happen.
Well, I see this a lot. Like what I've seen the trend of, like every year I see people starting the content creation game, and either keep going or stop. And it's a lot of the ones that I try to keep an eye on. Right. There's times where like when I'm looking for people to come on the show, it's most times I don't like to get people that are brand new and all that stuff,
Hmm.
because I want to get someone who maybe has been around for a little bit, you know? It's not that I don't mind getting on newer content creators or even smaller time ones. It's just more of someone who's completely brand new and like, a month into this, it's sort of like, there's not much to really discuss or talk about, or, because I like talking about the content creation game and, going into that. Like, but
Yeah,
I have no problem like giving people tips and tricks, especially when it comes to podcasting too, because
yeah.
it's been a wild ride. Like I never thought I'd get past 3 months of doing this stuff.
How many episodes have you done?
Uh, I think this episode would be episode 251.
It's a lot, man.
Yeah, because
It's a
I released them weekly, and then of course earlier this year I was forced to stop because I had a house flood at the beginning of the year, and um, this fucking year has been insane. We're just now getting back to normal with our house. It's been
lot.
it's been
That's rough.
insanity. Yeah, it hasn't been fun, but thank God for homeowners insurance. Fuck, man.
Yeah, insurance for everything basically in your life. You just need it always.
Right? God. Yeah, I had to
Um,
sell my Magic collection when it happened too. Like I had to.
oh wow, really? All
Mhm.
of it?
I mean, I kept my EDH decks. Um, my wife was so mad at me that I sold off everything else, though. I told her like, we need the money though. Like you don't understand the amount of damage that was done to the house. Like insurance covered it, but we still had a big deductible to cover. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like,
Well, what did you if you don't mind, like what kind of old cards or like stuff did you have? Did you have like old stuff?
so I don't remember a lot of it because I sold off like half my collection a few years ago to help pay for my daughter's knee surgery, and then we
Hmm.
had to have some trees cut in the yard, as well too. So that was like about $6,000. No, it was
It's a
like or
lot.
six, or yeah, maybe 6, 7 thousand, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But the cards that sort of come up to mind, at least the ones that are really old, like Helm of Obedience. Um, I had a Lion's Eye Diamond there, an Ancient Tomb, the OG.
Hmm.
Those are like the three that are like the major ones. I'm sure there's more if I think about it, but those are like the three oldest I can think of.
That's kind of the beauty of collecting magic cards, isn't it? Is that they're an investment in a way.
Yeah,
You paid off parts of your house damage and your
yeah,
daughter's knee surgery from magic
right,
cards. That's kind of wild, right?
right. And what's crazy is, so I still have some pretty expensive cards, right? I still have a playset of Gaia's Cradles that I bought for like
Mm.
$150 each a couple years ago, and now they're worth like almost $1,000 a piece. And I had some
Yep.
people telling me like, "Oh, why didn't you just sell those and help cover for your house?" I'm like, but you see, I actually play those. Like the other cards that I got rid of, I never touch them. I never play them or anything.
Yeah.
And I know if I ever sell those guys' cradles that I actually use, I'm never going to get them again. You
Yep.
know?
They're just gonna keep going up.
Oh, dude, it's insane. Just like yeah, it would be the last straw, and I think my wife would probably really punch me in the face if I ever sold my EDH decks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I told her like, well, what if something bad else happened? It's like, what are we gonna do to like try to make some money quick?
Yeah.
Like,
Does she play Magic?
she used to. She used to play. The only deck I could ever get her to play with EDH was a Slivers deck.
That's
And
fun.
for her,
Yeah.
it was
Livers are great.
fucking terrible because she'd win every single time. Like all she would have to do was just get Sliver Overlord out and then just, start tutoring for everything. Like
Yep.
fucking god. I made the deck a little too good. I made it like Sliver Control too.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's brutal to play against, I'm sure.
yeah, so she used to play. She doesn't play anymore, and she used to play D&D as well too. She doesn't anymore. She's a the only games that she plays a lot of now. She is addicted to Apex Legends.
Oh yeah?
Oh, and she's fucking ridiculously good at it too. Like holy shit.
Wow.
Like I
Yeah, I actually reviewed that game. So I used to do a podcast too for like 3 years. We did 100 episodes, and
nice.
then we hiatus, like starting around right when the pandemic hit. Actually, we all moved to different places, and it became harder, and we did it remote or whatever. But
Yeah.
it was a gaming podcast, and in a lot of ways, it was like the test run for content creation for me and my brother. Our other co-host Nick, he's an engineer and he works in a hospital. But my brother and I we both went to the same film school, and he's creative, but he's a librarian now. But he would do a lot of the social media, and I would make all the video posts and stuff, and then an imagery for it. And he ended up getting really into like entomology and insect stuff, and he has like an over 10,000 follower Instagram account in the last year.
Oh
And
shit.
then
Just about
I start
insects?
yeah, just about stuff like because I kept a lot of them as pets too, and then he got into it. We've always both been into like nature and stuff like that,
That's
but
cool.
he started keeping a bunch of stuff too, and then taking good pictures and growing his account, and then now he's got the swipe up feature on Instagram.
Oh
But
shit.
yeah, so in a lot of ways the podcast was like a good um learning experience for making content. So I didn't go into streaming and making my own stuff completely blind in any regard. The editing world I already do, and the podcasting stuff I got used to talking into a mic and streaming occasionally for the podcast too. We used to do occasional streams where we do playthroughs or um, spooky movies or spooky game nights where we do like PT together and drink beers and like get the shit scared out of us.
Oh, dude, PT scared the fuck out of me when I first played it.
Yeah, it was like unplayable for me. I remember throwing my controller away and just being like, "No, I can't. Just can't do it." Like straight up, I just said no. Like, the first time that woman killed me, I turned off the PlayStation and said, "I'm done. I can't. I'm just done."
Oh my god, my oldest daughter at the time, like I remember downloading the demo and we played it at night, like pitch dark and all that stuff. And my daughter, I can't remember how old she was, like 12, 13 at the time, or um, she cried herself to sleep that night. It was so scary for her. Like, dude, what
Oh,
fucked me up with that game, like, and it's just still going in the bathroom and seeing like the fetus of the baby, just like, oh my god, it fucked me up. Like,
yeah,
not so much the dead lady. It was that baby in the sink, just
yeah.
fucked me up.
It was like super David Lynch-esque. It reminded
Yeah,
me a lot of like Eraserhead and then like weird horror movies too. It's such a brilliant concept. It's the scariest. I would say it's the scariest game ever made. Is PT? I think.
and it's so sad it got canceled. Oh my god,
At
fucking.
least we have that game though. I have a PlayStation 4 that still has it. I
Oh,
never
oh yeah,
deleted it.
so do I. Yeah, I got my Pro over here. I downloaded it right before they said it was going off the store. Never
I
gonna
moved
take it off.
my hard drive and put it on my Pro.
Oh shit,
So it's
nice,
always on that drive. And I think I have like an SSD hybrid, so it's gonna live longer.
nice.
But you know that our PlayStations are worth like exponentially more than a regular PlayStation just because we have the game still, right?
Oh shit, seriously?
Yeah, like if you go onto eBay and you search like PlayStation 4 with PT.
I'm gonna look it up right
So
now.
I searched a couple years ago, and it was like
Oh well.
it was more than a brand new PlayStation back then when I looked to find a PlayStation with PT still on it on eBay.
Hold
That's
on.
how much people love that game.
Well, so just PS4. I don't know if this is a Pro or not. PS4 with PT, $450. I mean,
That's more than the console cost when it came out.
hold on. Let me, yeah, right. Let me look up PS4 Pro with PT. PS4 Pro. No, I don't care about just. Where is it? Okay, I'm not finding anything.
Mm,
With
maybe
it.
it's that we gotta make sure everybody knows we still have them
Right.
and set the price ourselves 1,000 at least.
I'd say start off at 800.
Yeah, I mean I'm just kidding, but I wonder. I mean, has it been ported? Has it been downloaded and made into a ROM or anything yet? Maybe
It probably has to be by now. I mean, I don't even know. Can you even? I'm sure you can hack the PS4 by now. I don't know.
Yeah. There's some way.
Yeah, I don't really do the whole hacking consoles anymore like I used to. Like
No.
I hacked my Wii and Wii U and all that, but
Yeah, those are fun to do.
yeah, the
The
but
old
oh shit,
PT days, man.
dude, and I still want to play Resident Evil 7, and now that Resident Evil 8 is out with the big vampire lady, I'm like, yeah, I need to play that.
I didn't even realize that some of the characters were the same, or it's like a direct sequel.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
there's characters like Ethan and Mia. They're characters from Resident Evil 7. I've heard their names be mentioned. So
I've
I'm like, damn,
played.
yeah,
I've only ever played Resident Evil 1 on the PS1, and that game scared the shit out of me as a kid.
me too.
When like the dog's jumping out of the window, and then I never played it past that. And then I played Resident Evil 2 on the PS4, the remake, and it was okay. Like it didn't do much for me. Like it wasn't very scary. It felt kind of more like I think the first person aspect of like 7 and 8 would do more for me, like PT does, like in terms of
Yeah.
being more atmospheric.
7's amazing. So like I beat the whole game actually. It was the first playthrough we ever did on the podcast. And I beat the whole game and then I got a PSVR like a year or two later and then I tried playing it again in VR and oh my god, it was something I did for friends that have never played VR or like liked that game, and it's like the beginning of Resident Evil 7. There's a scene where you go in water. You basically
Okay.
there's a part where you go as you're entering the house in this weird like under the floorboards area, and a body floats up like really suddenly, and it scares the shit out of you. And it was scary in the regular game, and then just doing it in real life, there's something completely different. I mean, in VR,
Oh, I
there's
bet.
something completely different about feeling up to your shoulders in water in VR. Like, it's so much different. Even if the graphics aren't crystal clear, even if everything is like a little bit janky, just feeling like you're neck deep in water, and then a body rises up directly in front of your face is like, it's horrifying.
Fuck. Did you play the whole
But it's
game in
awesome.
VR?
I didn't play the whole game. I got pretty far in it. I think I got like halfway. But that game's amazing because it's like, I've played lots of Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time.
That's what I've heard.
Um,
It's one of the
which
best
is
ones.
it's so quirky and goofy and fun. Um, and Resident Evil, the universe has its own charm, especially as they kept going. Because the original Resident Evil 1 and 2, I played those as a kid, but I played the GameCube ports because I didn't have a PlayStation. I had an N64, but I played the GameCube port, and it was so super scary. I remember renting it from Blockbuster and hiding in my room with the lights out with my brother and like trying to play that game, and it was so scary. But then yeah, Resident Evil 7's amazing because it's got the quirkiness and the Resident Evil to it, like where you pick up an item and then you see it in front of you, and it's like it's got that like Silent Hill, Resident Evil like classicness to it, but in first person and modern. And the story is fun, and the boss fights are really good, and like Resident Evil 7's great. There are some low moments in it, but it's a really good Resident Evil game. I think I loved it.
I'm gonna
So
get
yeah.
to it eventually. I'm trying to. I got hooked back on Pokemon, uh, on a Nintendo Switch, Pokemon Sword, and
Oh yeah.
I have not played a Pokemon game since like the Game Boy Advance Pokemon Ruby or something. Holy shit, the whole like genre is completely different now, and um been enjoying
Yeah.
that, and I'm playing Last of Us 2 as well too for the first
I
time.
never finished that one.
I'm I think I'm still in the beginning or something. I'm only like 5-6 hours into it, and it's fucking amazing. Holy shit. I
Yeah.
love it.
It's an incredible game. It's weird. It's one of those games that like I didn't finish because it was such a weird time when it came out. It was like it wasn't like it was relatable to the pandemic, but I was at like a very low mental state when that game came out. I was
Yeah.
still nervous, feeling weird from COVID, like having it and then whatever. And
That's
I
right. It
was just
came
like,
out last year. That's right.
yeah, it
Oh.
came out like right as COVID was like in its, for me, I had just started to recover from it. And so like playing a game that heavy was just like, I couldn't. I got halfway through. There's a defining point that I got halfway through the game, and then I just like I wasn't enjoying it. I don't know. I wasn't enjoying um
It's,
playing it by
it
myself.
it is a pretty heavy game, that's for sure. Like I have to sort of mentally prep myself for. I mean, not so much for the gameplay, but just more of the themes that it deals with, because it's
Mhm.
just fucking depressing, man. It's like
Yeah.
after living through that pandemic, it's just like, yeah, we'd never survive a zombie apocalypse or anything. Hell,
Oh hell no. If the pandemic taught me anything is like how unprepared we are for like literally anything. For
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, could you imagine had COVID been more deadlier than it was? The amount of panic, like, thank God. I mean, I'm so sorry for all the people that passed and all that stuff, like worldwide for it, and it was a lot of people. I'm not trying to downplay the severity of COVID, but had it been deadlier than it was, it would have been completely world changing, like anything we've ever seen before. And that to me is like scary as hell to think about, because that can happen, and it might happen,
Yeah. I mean, it will happen eventually. It's just a matter of how prepared we are.
yeah.
Like you think about Ebola or like any other big thing that could have been horrible, and just imagine if it was more widespread. Um,
Yeah. dude,
Yeah, COVID wasn't even that deadly, but just think of how bad it's just how infectious it was.
oh yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's insane. It's changed our lives forever. Like,
Yeah,
period. It's changed the world forever. Um, just the amount of people that died in America, like millions and millions of people. You think about the impact that 9/11 had. That was 3,000 plus people in New York. And yeah, it's horrific and the imagery is horrible and it's a different event. It's not comparable. But you just
yeah.
think about the toll of life. It's like kind of fucking insane to think that that was the last year how many millions of people died from this thing. And we all know somebody that did. Like somebody's family member, somebody's grandpa, so
Mm-hmm.
whoever. There's not going to be a person in the world that doesn't have a story or person that they know that didn't, wasn't affected by it.
Oh,
So,
dude, yeah. When you put it like that, you're right. It's insane because I just think about like both of us, right? Like what we have seen in our lifetime of just like crazy ass events, right?
mhm.
Like Columbine, like one of the first school shootings that I can really think of that just like made super national news. And then 9/11 right after that. What?
I said, and then that became normal, which is
I know,
fucked
right?
up.
Oh my god. Yeah. Um and then, 9/11 right after that, then getting into two wars, and I saw a bunch of my friends go to the military, and some of them didn't return. Some of them came back and they were not the same anymore because of the horrific things they saw and had to do just to stay
Hmm.
alive. I mean, they did things that you and I could never imagine or dream of, you know,
Yeah.
and that's sad. And then then we had the whole freaking Trump era of shit, and now COVID, and then just earlier this year in January we had like our democracy attacked, and
Yeah.
it's been fucking insane, man.
Our lives have, I think we've had, probably, for me at least, way too many at this point, life-changing events. I'm good on those.
Yeah,
I would like to just chill now, like,
uh,
I
uh,
don't,
give us a decade of chilling at least.
like, I'm actually really happy, and this is presumptuous and probably insulting for maybe, but I'm glad to hear you talk about the Trump era because I know lots of people from Florida probably don't agree with whatever you're thinking
Oh, of
about that.
course not, because I've got family members that are like straight up QAnon pieces
I
of
mean, we
shit.
all do. I'm from New York. I have family friends, and like the whole thing put into question relationships in my life. Like
Oh yeah.
literally, it's tribal. It's like, who are you with? You know what I mean? But I think it's appropriately that way. I'm passionately that way. I mean, I'm from New York City. I'm like super liberal minded person,
Hmm.
but
I'm like my sister and I are like out of our immediate family, my sister and I are the only registered Democrats out of like a whole family of Republicans.
yeah. And for many many years that would have been fine. I just think there's like a line that was crossed for me at least, um where like where you used to be able to be like, I'm a Republican, I'm conservative, and you'd be like, I don't agree with you, and
Yeah.
I think it, to a degree, and it's gotten to the point, I think, for me where I just think the Republican Party is like a clear danger to the country and world, like straight up. Like I believe that like 100% the Republican Party is dangerous to our country because I mean they largely denied and enabled a government takeover. Like we can't
Oh, I
forget
know,
what happened. Like we can't
dude.
forget that, like these people in Congress were denying it when they were locked up when they were on lockdown while Nancy Pelosi's door was getting kicked down and people with guns and handcuffs were coming into their freaking job getting ready to kill and take hostages. Like that's the reality of the way that Republicans shaped our country in 4 years. But I mean, it's longer than
Well,
4 years.
it's been longer than that,
It's
but
many generations at this point, or not many, but like a few. And it's just like I am at the point where I'm in the mentality of, if you're a Republican still in 2021, like then you're blind. Like you don't understand. I see very little. I see very little coming back from the other side if what you've seen in the last few years hasn't changed you. You know what I mean?
What's crazy to me, and I agree with that. What's crazy to me is you see Republicans like Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney who are actively against Trump. You know, they still have their conservative values and all that stuff. That they actively speak out against Trump and in what happened on January 6th, and yet they're trying to be censured. They're trying to be ousted by the party. All that stuff. That to me is insane. That's when you know shit is lost. When someone like Mitt Romney, who was a presidential nominee, could have possibly been president, you know, is being completely ousted by his own party. That's when you know things are just like, and that guy's like a perfect picture of a Republican, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally reasonable man with like conservative values and like he doesn't.
I never agreed with everything that he did when he was running for,
No.
president and all that stuff. But geez, when you fucking compare him to what we have now, it's like shit. He looks so timid, you know?
Yeah. Being a kid and being actively infuriated by George Bush, and like voting for Obama was the first time I ever had to vote. And my dad.
Al Gore was my first vote, with Al Gore versus George W. No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John Kerry. I was too young in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, John Kerry was my first vote.
I remember just being so enthused to get out and vote for anything that was the opposite of George W. Bush.
Oh my God, yeah.
We used to just think he was the biggest idiot. We just thought you would go on the TV and you'd be like, this man is so dumb. I don't want to hear him speak. He makes us look bad. I don't believe in what he's doing. We're going to more wars. We don't need to do that. And like I would take George Bush for 3 more terms over what Trump did to our country.
God, it's
night and day, man. It's so bad.
But I mean, with Trump's rhetoric and what happened with the party, yes, I agree with that. But with what Bush did in terms of like warmongering and him and Dick Cheney, the way they fucking pumped out that military industrialized complex to the max, I kind of don't know if I agree with that. It's but if you had to choose between the two, fuck, man, that's tough. It's like you're trying to choose between a shit sandwich and a turd.
I 100%. I mean, I guess I was being a little hyperbolous, but it's still. I used to say this early on, and then I think I hit a point where I just don't know anymore about what the fuck is going on when it came to the Trump era of things. But like, and I think it's true for all politicians. It's not just for Republicans. There used to be a time where they were smart about being assholes, straight up. There used to be a time where like they would lie and we wouldn't know, and like the ignorance was bliss in a lot of ways. Like
it could be, yeah.
Like the thing about Bush and Cheney and that whole era, and I might have been too young to perceive anything other than his clear lack of public speaking skill and vocabulary, but like it was apparent that things were happening and we didn't always know why, and the results and the later declassified stuff usually spoke to the true intent behind things. Whereas with like Trump and the last few years of like Republicans, it's like they wrote the sign "fuck you" on everything they did out loud.
Oh yeah.
And so like you had a reason to be angry immediately, as opposed to being like, oh, well, fuck, going to war because of 9/11 was horrible because it was for money and oil and whatever.
Well, shit. I mean, yeah, you may have been too young to remember, but I can strictly remember, like, yeah, I was in high school when that all happened, and I can clearly remember, like, yeah, we were not going to war because of 9/11. Yeah, when we went to war with Afghanistan, yeah, that was the intent. But then you find out, okay, it's for oil. And then we decide to go to war to Iraq. No, the motherfucker wanted to finish what his father started back in the early 90s. It was a complete fucking sham. And what pissed me off with that was my friends were going over there and getting killed,
Yeah.
because of that motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, it's still happening.
Oh
My
yeah, yeah.
like my brother has a friend who died in the last few years. They just put a memorial sign up in the town we grew up, like a street named after him, or like a memorial. They
Hmm.
had a whole memorial ceremony after him. He was a Marine. So it's like it's still happening.
Oh, I know.
I just like that's a huge problem I have with America in general, and I think as generations keep getting like we keep getting older and older and older, and younger people become smarter to it, we just realize how just fucking like imperialistic and fake nationalist and shitty we are. Like we're
Yeah.
just always at war. We're always trying to take someone else's money. We're not good to our own people. Like
Yeah.
America is just like a world bully shithead, you
It
know?
can be.
And
Yeah. It really can be.
there's always this defense from my parents or like even other people in the country, and I get it a lot of times, is like, well, a lot of places are worse, and it's like,
And
yeah,
that is true. Yeah.
but is it an excuse at a certain point to say other places are worse instead of wanting to actively improve what's supposed to be the best country in the world, right? It's like, do you just lay down and go like, well, everywhere's worse, like we're good, like be blind to the shittiness of everything? Or do you just like actively want to improve on what's supposed to be a great thing? That's how I
And
feel about
no, and I agree with that thought. And what sucks to try to make anything better, especially if you want to try to make it better either locally, statewide, or even federally, you need that money. You need that
it.
friggin' money to get those lobbyists and talk to your congressmen and all that stuff and governors to try to get anything done, right? And there goes my cat.
What happened? Was it screaming?
No, she's in heat right now, and she's freaking. You can hear it. She needs that
Yeah.
love.
She's meowing all over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah. But no. So speaking of the Trump era, and this is the thing that I've thought about, just how bad. I mean, when I think of like how Trump got elected, I just think of how the Democrats really screwed themselves over, like during that whole 2016 campaign, where there was such a huge base for Bernie, and then I and then what was it? Bernie had a huge base, and then Hillary got the nomination, and then I think it was a lot of the Bernie supporters even didn't want anything to do with Hillary because Hillary just felt so unlikable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that was a fine man.
like the Democrats were not united at all against their candidate, and then pretty much how Trump won because the Republicans were kind of united again with Trump. And then I'll be honest, like when Trump got elected, I didn't think it can't be that bad, right? In the first 2 years, it didn't seem that bad. Like, yeah, there wasn't a lot of great stuff to it, but it didn't seem like it was gonna be that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how it was like in other parts of the country.
Definitely escalated. I
Yeah.
mean, in New York, the day he got elected was like, it was like 9/11 part two. And I don't want to make light of 9/11
Oh,
at
really?
all. But I will say, like, taking the subway to work, I was working, when he got elected, I was working at the Rachel Ray cooking show at the time. And I was taking the subway to work. And I distinctly remember everybody's face, and even my own demeanor was angry, upset, down, defeated. It was a somber, shitty state in New York City the day that Trump got elected. I remember my
Damn.
ex-girlfriend was crying all night. I remember my roommates, who were all my friends, were super upset and shitty, and just like it was a notably bad day.
Damn, that's crazy. Because I mean, obviously, being in Florida, it's like complete opposite. I was just more of the thought of, oh, what's the worst that could happen, and then
I try to be that way. You know, you like to survive, you do what you do to survive, right?
yeah,
So for me, I was like when it was happening, I was pissed, I was upset, and I was feeling the energy of the city, but I was not like um I wasn't letting it defeat my day to day. I was trying not to.
Yeah.
And that became harder and harder and harder to do every day that he was in office, because something new would come. Just think about how shitty it was. At least, I mean, in my experience, at least, where it was just like I became like doom scrolling was like the only time I ever done that in my life was because of Trump. Like I would go on Reddit and I would sit there and refresh the politics thread just to see like what shit thing happened. Are we going to war? Are we is he canceling another thing that's important? Are we defunding what are we defunding now? Where are we going to war with? Who is he in bed with now? Like there was like a nonstop trickle of bullshit every single day or week, every day that he was in office. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And then until, of course, the inevitable, where we were all saying for years, we're like, well, he might just say, no, I don't want to leave. And then and we all didn't want to believe it would happen, right? We were all
Right.
just
Yeah.
like, nah, like he can't do that shit. Like, nah, we're like, there's not going to be violence. Like, I don't like there can't be, like, they can't try it. And then it happened. And we're
I
just
know,
like,
right?
oh, fuck.
Dude, that was fucking insane. Like, I can remember, like, I didn't start really doom scrolling a whole lot till sometime in 2019, especially when the elections started to start up around then, because to try to figure out who the Democratic nominee was going to be, and when they picked Joe Biden, I was like, fuck, we're done.
Yeah, me too.
And
Me
it's
too.
like, and what's scary is Joe Biden barely won.
Yep.
Like when you look at the popular vote, he barely won, and that's how fucking scary. Even the states that he did win in, like what Georgia, Michigan, and like Arizona and all that, he barely won. And Pennsylvania was another big one. So it's there's still a lot of like turmoil and division even now with it.
Didn't go away.
And
At
it's
all.
not going to go away. And with all these voting laws they're trying to enact, they're just going to make it harder. And it's I would not be surprised if Republicans take the House and Senate and next year.
Yeah. It's shitty to think about. It's nice to have a breath of fresh air in the last few months of not having to care about the news as much.
Right?
Because like obviously you want to be an active participant in your government and what's going on, and like voting is usually the bare minimum of what people do in this country, if that, right? Like how many, like not even people vote here. So it's like, yeah, people check the news on whatever, but the news a lot of time is biased or like Fox News or whatever the fuck. And like I'm not somebody who ever cared for politics or like to think much about it. I would vote with who I believed in. I would do research or whatever. This last 4 years was like dreadful to care as much as I felt like I had to. And so it's nice to kind of feel like I can breathe for a minute without being like, oh, like, fucking he said this on Twitter or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't know, bad example. I can't. The list is so endless that I can't even name a valid example anymore. It's like, oh, they, like, whatever shit thing happened and any day of the week from Trump. Just name one of those. It's nice to not have any of it.
and you know what's crazy that I think about is if Trump had shown any sort of competency during the beginning of the pandemic, like actually tried to mount some sort of response and really have a good pandemic team going. If he didn't dismantle what Obama set up beforehand, he'd be president today.
Oh, if he did,
guarantee.
If he did anything well at all, he did the opposite of any president what he should be doing. Like the literal opposite of any person in office should do. Like the whole scene where he was shooting tear gas at people and holding a Bible in front of a church.
He held it upside down.
Like, dude, it's like,
oh god, it's so bad.
He fucked up everything, dude. Like thousands of Americans are dead because of Trump and his administration. It's so fucked up to think about.
Yeah.
But it's true. But it's dead serious. You could just straight up equate it to that. Like, like
if he had just shown any competency during the pandemic response, he'd be president today.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, Biden, I was maybe the most unexciting person they possibly could have picked. Period.
Oh, I was
And I
hoping for Elizabeth Warren, to be honest. Like,
How would anybody else? I
yeah,
mean, she would have lost, though. I
yeah.
don't know.
Trump would have
People
done the
don't.
whole Pocahontas thing to her,
There's so
and
much sexism still, and
oh yeah,
but like I get why Hillary had so much negativity. It was beyond sexism. She was just such an unlikable, unrelatable robot person that had a bad track record.
well,
And
yeah,
it's like,
and because she was the career politician,
yep,
and people wanted something new for a change because let's be honest, like the last 4 years of Obama, not a whole lot happened because of the Republican gridlock. I mean,
yeah,
I'm reading through Obama's memoirs right now, um, and all that, and it's crazy that like one of his first meetings with Mitch McConnell and John Boehner, they basically told him we're going to do everything we can to stop what you're going to do.
yeah,
And that was during the American financial crisis back in 2008. And
yeah.
like, okay, you guys want the American economy to crash because I'm a Democrat? Yep, pretty much. It's like that's how fucked up it is, man.
They don't care about people.
No,
That's
they
the thing.
don't.
They don't care about the people of the country. It's party over people. It's as simple as that. Like straight up, it's straight
Yeah.
up party over people. And what's wild to me is that the people that they want to be part of their party don't see it that way. I'm just like, how do you not realize how fucking dumb you look and how like used you are? Like you're just a fucking moron following these people that don't give a shit about you. And it's not like I'm sitting here like the Democrats care about me because they don't fucking care about me either. But the Republicans are so blatant about it and their policies are so much more obviously against people in the country that it's like night and day almost. It's like you can choose a party that like at least has some ideas that are more progressive, or you can choose one that has the opposite and they give less of a fuck about you, period. And it's just like, well, shit, that's not a hard choice, I don't think. You know, like
Oh yeah, no. And what's fucked up is I like to believe that a lot of people enter politics, especially at like state or federal level, they want to try to make a change, right? They honestly believe that they're going to make a change, but the system is so fucked that they're going to eventually become corrupt and or just do what they can to try to keep their power.
yeah. And that's why I liked Bernie so much in 2016 because he always seemed and is so escaped from that. I mean, to as much as he
Oh yeah,
can
I
be.
voted for him during the primaries.
Yeah, I went to a Bernie rally in Prospect Park. It was amazing.
Oh nice.
Vito was there. It was like that was the most enthused and engaged in our government and political discourse I ever was when Bernie was running, and I felt like I finally had somebody that I could relate to and believe, like straight up, like at all. You know, there was always the lesser of two evils game is like what it's like to be an American voter. But
Right?
but for Bernie, it felt like for once that I wasn't voting for evil in any
I
regard.
can see what you mean about that 100%.
So I was so on board with his just like mentality and enthusiasm over like helping people. It just seemed like I never saw I never understood the other people's perspective of like the reasoning behind not wanting to support it. Like I always understood the idea that many of the things that would try to be accomplished by a progressive Democrat, a democratic socialist are difficult and not going to be a 4-year thing that happens or an 8-year thing that happens. But I was willing and wanting to have that change, which is why it was an interesting election because it was populism. It was like one side was very much like speaking to the youth and people that wanted, someone different. And that was Bernie. And then the other one was just like the fucking worst. And it was just like a shitty, dumbass, orange talk show host. It's just like
But
you have
he was so enticing because he said shit that no politician would ever say at the time.
yeah
Like
yeah
and that's what attracted Trump to so many people. He would just say the craziest off the wall shit.
yeah, which
And
I still don't understand. Like I just don't get it. Like it's one of those things that's like funny for the first like one time you hear it on the debate stage, and then you are like, okay, I'm done.
oh yeah, because I
For
can
me,
remember the first time I saw the Republican debates back then, and it was like, the 15 Republicans or whatever, and Trump's there. And I just remember thinking, like, there's no fucking way Trump is ever going to get picked. I thought it was going to be Jeb Bush or one of the other fucks. I can't remember who.
Just made them look like fools.
Yeah.
Because because he spoke a different language than them.
Yeah.
They were all trying to be calm and composed, and when everyone on the stage is doing that, it works. You don't look like as much of a clown. Like Jeb Bush did not look good. Fucking Ted Cruz looked like an idiot.
Oh, God.
Like they all look like dumbasses because Trump would just be like, "You're fucking dumb," or like whatever the hell he'd say. He'd be like, "Your wife hates you," and like your fucking kids hate you, or whatever he'd say. And they would break down. They'd be like, "Well, fuck you. I don't know. Like my dad. I went to college," and he'd be like, "Fuck off." Like so it would just be like,
but it fucking worked. It's just. And what's funny to me, speaking of Ted Cruz, is how he's become such a fucking lapdog now of Trump.
Dude, such a bitch, straight up.
Dude, and I still love the whole thing when the Texas freeze happened. He blamed his fucking daughters for wanting to go on that trip to Cancun or whatever the hell.
Dude, so clearly a clown in all regards.
Oh my God. But yet he's going to get voted again. It's like it boggles my. I mean, it shouldn't boggle my mind, but it boggles my mind.
Yeah,
it's like
I feel the same way, man. It's like what it's like to be an American these days. It's just like, oh, those things that are clearly should be changing. Nah, they're not going to change. Like every single other thing that's just ingrained. It's like, oh, we've had like 1 billion mass shootings in the last 10 years, and there's like. Look at our prison system, and it's just like, yeah, but we're good though. Like we're not gonna change it. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck to do anymore.
It's sad. It's like I think of Florida, right? When we had Rick Scott as a governor, the guy looks like straight up Voldemort, and this guy literally siphoned billions out of one of the hospital systems he worked for. Here was put on trial, wasn't found, guilty or anything because of his fucking good ass lawyers that he paid a shit ton of money for. Yeah, this motherfucker not only got elected as governor, now he's a state senator, wouldn't be surprised if he runs for president one year or whatever. It's like that's the kind of shit that like Florida has to deal with. And the one good Republican governor that we actually had was Charlie Crist, who's now a Democrat. And the reason, and you want to know why he became a Democrat? Because he was ousted from his party because when Obama came down for something, I can't remember like what, I think it was maybe for Obama healthcare. When Obama was trying to do the big push on his healthcare bill, he came down, Charlie Crist met with him, shook his hand, and was really friendly towards him. Just those optics alone lost Charlie Crist his second term in governorship and had him basically ousted from his party because he was nice to Obama.
That's like what other reason other than racism? I just don't get it.
Oh yeah, straight up.
Like what other like there's no other reason. Like there's no logical reason in my head. It's not logical. That's what it is. I mean, there's no logic. It's just like straight up racism or just like bigotry, because you can disagree with him, and there's a lot that I didn't like about him, just like everyone else, like fucking drone striking kids and whatever the shit he did that wasn't good. But like, he was not a perfect president, but there wasn't a day that went by that I was never ashamed about Obama and Joe Biden. I never felt like a deep shame to be an American when Obama was in office. Yeah, there were questionable things and I didn't like them. But there was never a moment where
But he felt like he genuinely tried to care, He
did. And I still do believe that he cared about people and his country and taking care of people and progressing things. I do. I just genuinely believe that. Whereas like Trump, I worry that some people think and I know for a fact that some people, including my family members, think I'm like actively anti-American because of how much Trump made me question like this country in general.
Yeah.
Like it just made me upset to be an American in like so many ways.
The fact that I've put it this way before. Okay, yeah, support Trump, fine, whatever. Just for during when Trump was president, the fact that anyone could still support him after January 6th truly boggles my mind. Like
Yeah.
the fact that people are now downplaying that, oh, it was Antifa dressed up like Trump supporters doing that shit, or it was all fake, it was all staged, and nothing bad really happened during that. You know, the fact that I still have family members that can still support Trump, still think he's, God's gift to earth and whatever, just shows like they're truly lost, right? You know,
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
like
Yeah.
fine, you voted for him the second time, whatever, you supported him, but you still support him after that incident happened. No, you're fucking done. You can't. There's no going back from it. That's un-American right there. Supporting
Yeah.
something like that, because that's because
You're way too gone at that point.
yeah, because
You
it
just make it. You're making it's nonstop. It's nonstop mental gymnastics. And that's how I always felt about it. But like after that, I can't even say I'm surprised by that, though, man. To be honest with you, like I think there were like 30,000 other moments where people had the opportunity to be like, nah, like, what am I doing? But like, what boggles my mind more and more is the people that genuinely think that he's like God's gift and was an incredible president and leader. When you just like think about the facts about Donald Trump. How many wives he's had, how many fucking like issues he's had, how unchristian the man is in general. The fact that he
yeah, like how could evangelicals even support someone like him?
it's so backwards that it's like comical. It's like you're self by supporting Trump, you're self parodying yourself, and it gets hard to have a logical discourse with people that support him, especially after these big events, because they just come off like morons, like straight up, because you're just like, how can you ignore like the reality of this man and his life, like factual events and things that he's done and stands for, and be like, I go to church, or like, he's a good Christian man. Like, it just makes no sense. It makes zero sense to me. I don't know.
I mean, shit, just even that recording of him grab him by the,
Yep.
just
That was enough for me, man. Like that in 2016, that was enough for me. I don't know. That's uh yeah, that's where I was drawing lines, but people had many other lines, I guess, that needed to be drawn or still can't be. So who the fuck knows? I don't know, man.
if a capital insurrection doesn't change people's minds, I don't know what will.
Nothing.
It,
Nothing.
like there's I literally have family members that think that was all a staged event, think that Joe Biden's not really the president, Trump is still in charge and all that stuff. Like,
That's so wild, man.
fucking
I couldn't deal with that. I envy your I mean, I don't know how much you deal with it, but
oh,
I
I
couldn't.
don't. I mean, I just see it on Facebook and I just, block them or mute them or whatever.
I have family members like that too. I just don't. I don't. I'm not on Facebook. I think that's the most toxic place for it.
Oh my god,
Because
yeah.
the thing about Facebook is that it's like, I mean, like boomers and like older people than us, that's their like social media, because they use it as just like a means to communicate with their old classmates or whoever. And they don't realize that like 15 other forms of social media came out and we all exist on them. Like Discord is beyond the majority of like older generations minds.
Oh yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that shit is like it. They might as well not even exist. They don't even know they exist, or they wouldn't know how to function on those platforms. It's like Facebook is like the breeding ground for boomer bullshit behavior. It was just like
Dude, it
saying
is.
dumb shit and like replying to comments. And I haven't had Facebook in 6 years straight up, like 6 or 7 years. I deleted it ago.
I
Like I
still
just
use it because I've got some of my podcast stuff on there. I've got a few people that follow it on there. Um,
we used to,
and,
yeah.
and it's how I
We
coordinate some of my D&D games too.
Yeah, I mean it's a means of communication.
Yeah.
But we used to there was a running joke with my podcast that I used to always say this at the end of the episodes, but I would be like, "Yeah, go follow our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Fuck Facebook though. Like don't follow it." Like I would specifically say that because I wouldn't go on it. My brother would like run it, and we had some viewers and I mean listeners that would, you know, like our content on there, and that would be the way they consumed our posts or whatever. But I would always say fuck Facebook at the end of our at the end of our episodes. It was a joke by the end of the podcast, actually.
I mean, it is a joke at this point. I mean, shit. I do enjoy so I'm still part of some local groups with around town, and just seeing some of the political discourse and just seeing all the out of touch people on there. It's I know I shouldn't doom scroll it, but sometimes I do, and it's just the stupidity I see. And what's even sad is, so when I take my daughter to and from her elementary school every morning, I've got a younger daughter. I drive by 3 houses that still have Trump flags up, and it's like, dude, it's over. Like, just accept it.
I still see it too in New York.
That's crazy to me. I mean, I see it everywhere in Florida still. I mean,
Yeah, I mean even in Brooklyn, man. Like when I was moving out and moving, there's an area like close to East New York that I would drive by to get onto the expressway, and there was a couple houses that I still remember a few months ago, like draping giant Trump flags, and I'm like, how the fuck have you not gotten your ass kicked every time you exist in this building? Or like, it just boggles the mind.
oh, they'd be welcomed here in Florida.
What was that?
They'd be welcomed here in Florida.
Oh, I'm sure.
God.
It's so tribal to me because
It
there's
is.
not people like if there's a Biden something, it's a bumper sticker that they left on because they didn't want to fuck their paint up or something.
Yeah.
But Trump, it's like, here's my Trump sticker that says like some other ridiculous statement, has a gun on it, or like I have a giant flag draping off of my 4x4 truck or whatever the fuck. And it's like, it's so drastically different, the representation, I think, of political alignment.
Yeah, because I can't think of. I mean, I know Obama had the hope pictures
Yep.
and all that, but I can't remember anything close to what we saw in the 4 years of Trump, like in terms of the flags and the memorabilia and all that shit.
Well, it's a brand, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The hats everywhere. Yeah, I can't think of. Yeah, Obama was just mainly that hope poster, and I'm sure there was probably some other stuff with Obama, but nothing. I don't even recall anything with George W. or anything at all.
No, everything changed. It's social
Yeah.
media. It's all because
Yeah.
of the way that everything is a brand and marketed now.
Hell, it's I mean, hell, look at the ad that you just edited, the Mayo guy. I mean,
Yeah.
the random, what was it, audience member at a baseball game, now has a
Lots of
sponsorship.
brands. Yeah, lots of brands do stuff like that now. It's like it's the like social mediaification of advertising or art in general. Like I worked on a Bud Light ad where the dude caught the beer in his like he didn't drop his beer, like he chested the beer to catch it, or he chested the ball to catch it instead of putting his beer down or whatever, and that became a whole ad. It aired during the World Series.
Oh, wow.
Like people in the stands or like anything is an ad now. Like anything can be made into comedy and whatever, because good people are brands. I mean, this is my attempt at, I guess, circling back to content because we
Hey.
talked about politics for an hour, but
Hey, that's
I'm
okay.
down for it.
I'm down
Yeah.
for, like I said, this podcast, we talk about anything and everything. We talked a little bit about magic. We did for a little bit there.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like talking about both. I don't get to talk about the politics stuff that often, but I'm glad. I usually don't like to, but I feel like I've had a little bit of a break from the bullshit, so I feel like my tanks were recharged slightly.
I know, it's okay. It's okay. Like I said,
But,
it's anything and everything. Talk about some local politics, about how I think the police around here are corrupt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like
I
how
mean, it seems-
the local sheriff in town here has it in oh fuck, what was it? He purposely bought some body armor from like a company that his cousin works for or something like that. I think that was like a big news story or something that leaked. It was like some police protection equipment, like
Wow.
backroom deals on shit like that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that much of the corruption, but just the way the police act. I went to like a protest and vigil for George Floyd back in the height of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a bunch of people, but it was like a local, it was very interesting because it was like close to where I grew up on Long Island. So it was like, it wasn't New York City. It wasn't huge. It was tame outside of a town hall. And just like the shaved head white cops with their glasses on, just looking angry and like ready for any sort of trouble. It was just like, and I'll okay. So there's something that happened. That this is actually an interesting story. Something happened like super early on that pissed me off so much. So like they had already cleared. Cops always try to make some bullshit out of nothing, or like, or try and make you feel like you're fucking up even though you're not. Like bad cops do, but you know
Yeah.
whatever. And so I remember going there, and it was run by a family, and it was organized by a family and like another few people that were part of the same group. And so they had a table where they had letters to send out to like Breonna Taylor's district attorney, and like they had it organized where you could pick stuff up that was already mail addressed and everything, and like write letters to like, you know, ask for justice for these people that had been fucked.
Yeah.
And it was great. And they had like, they were spray painting t-shirts and for their cause, and they had food and drinks, everything free, and giving stuff out. And it was great. It was like a bunch of people. It was very diverse, like a diverse amount of people. And I remember the cop coming up and talking to the dude who organized it, and he was giving the guy some trouble, but not really. He was like trying to be nice about it, and he said something that really pissed me off. So the guy was like, "Yeah, we already had permission, yada yada," and he was just like, "We're here to protect you and make sure everything goes well, you know, keep it whatever." And then the leader of the group that organized it walked away, and then the cop, as he was walking away into his car, like called up one of his buddies on his on his thing, and was like, "Yeah, you know, you come on down. It's you know, it's like a lemonade stand. Don't worry about it. It's nothing." And I just remember his tone. He just like he belittled the vigil and protest, and equated you know, the table that they had organized with letters and food and the whole group of people that were there to a lemonade stand. And I just thought to myself, like, what a fucking asshole.
Is that
Like,
supposed to like mean something like lemonade stand, or is that just I guess I don't get it.
well, like you think about a lemonade stand, it's like a little kid like giving out
Oh,
lemonade.
okay, okay,
Like to me, it was just an arrogant comment
yeah,
about like we weren't doing shit, and it was just like, you didn't have to, you know, you didn't.
yeah,
It wasn't violent. It wasn't, you know, super shitty in any, you know, whatever degree, but it just really, it laid out, it set the tone for me to really feel angry at the police being there. Like, because they were just
oh
there, they
yeah.
blocked off the streets or whatever, and they kept it safe. But it was still like, I wasn't happy to look at cops while I was hearing about, you know, people talk on the microphone about other people who got killed by cops. It
Yeah.
was just a shitty way to start off the protest. Was here this cop kind of belittled the entire event. But anyway,
Oh, dude,
yeah.
yeah, that sucks. There was only one kind of protest in my town, and I wanted to go, but where they were holding it was, I knew something bad was going to happen, and something bad did happen. So thank God I didn't go, because what happened was a whole bunch of Confederate redneck racist assholes showed up, and one guy with a machete started charging at the black people who were protesting, and had to get knocked down by police and tased and all that stuff. But fuck, man, it was
Yeah,
like almost chaos there that happened. It's like,
I was hesitant to go to anything. It was a risk the entire time, which is so scary because it's like it that's the way the country was, man.
oh,
It's
I
like
know.
you can't go protest anymore. And protests are always a charged thing. Like
Hmm.
back in the 70s, even, you know, you're charged, or 60s, you're protesting Vietnam and there was violence. But it's like it's a different level of violence when you fear that, like, it doesn't even extend to just race anymore. It's like this ideological thing where it's like I could just be in the area and get run over or like fucking shot up because I am wanting for people to not get killed. Like it's
Yeah.
so wild, the fear and consideration. And like one of my good friends, he's trans, and I was like, yo man, I don't want to go alone, because you don't want to go alone, right? Like I'm just a white dude, but I would still, I'm like, just like you, I was scared and hesitant to be like, I'm going to this thing because you never know. And he was like, hell no, like as a trans person, like I can't even, like I would feel way more unsafe even than you. So it was just I ended up going to alone to this thing and taking
Yeah.
the risk, which is not advisable anywhere. But I did. I went alone, and I was just like, nobody else can go with me, so I'll do it. But yeah, that was a fucking, what a year, man. It's like we
Dude.
had we had the pandemic, and then we had everything at once. I think that's what was fucked
Dude.
up about it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just like, oh, stay home. Thousands and millions of people are dying around the world. It was like, well, throw all this other bullshit on top of it. How about that? Just like take it all at once. So bad. What a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. And it's getting to a point where I'm forgetting like stuff that actually happened last year. Or I guess maybe that's not a good way to put it, but it's like 2020 is starting to feel like the missing year and all that.
Yeah.
Where it's like shit happened and all that stuff, but it's just been like too much to process. Like
Mm-hmm.
way too much shit to process, and it's been, I don't know. Oh man, it's been
A rough
crazy.
one.
And it's like, and I wanted to bring up something with cops real quick. And
Yeah.
you know um dude, I've got some friends that are in law enforcement and all that, people that I've known, and dude, it's, I don't know, this whole cop situation, it's, I mean, I don't know how to feel about it a lot of times, because it's obviously we need some sort of law enforcement, right? But it's also, what do we do to make it better, right? Like, is it more training for them? Is it, obviously they don't need access to like military type equipment and all that shit. They don't need fucking tanks and all that stuff. Leave that shit to the National Guard and the military and whatnot. But, you know, dude, I just feel like it's such a shit job right now, where it's like we're still going to need people to protect us, but yet, fuck, what do you do to make it better? And it's not just, and to me, the answer is not just one thing where it's like, defund the police, get better training and all that stuff. It's the whole fucking system is fucked
Yeah.
as well,
But
too.
that's what makes it hard. Because like I yeah, I mean, in New York there's a lot of friends of mine, and even myself can be guilty of the whole ACAB, like fuck cops thing. And I as a white dude, I even have never had a positive experience with the cop in my life. Even family friends, I've never in my life once had a good experience with the police officer. So like I don't like police, but
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that like that's their job, and it is a valid job, and it is something that like people and family members and like it's just a thing people do, and for a lot of people it's the option. So but the issue, and I think you're speaking to it perfectly, is like what's the solution? And there isn't one, because the solution is that there's like 50 other things that need to get fixed. There's no, and but that's America. There's so many layers. There's so
Yeah.
many layers to how fucked up certain things are and institutions are, that like to fix one thing that you have to fix like seven other things. And I think that's in a lot of ways intentional. At least in certain institutions, I think certain things have been built to feel that way. I mean, you just even look at our taxes, right? Like you look at the fact that we have to file taxes even though the IRS knows exactly how much we owe or whatever. Or like, you know,
Yeah.
anything like voting. Why aren't we automatically registered when we turn 18 and like in the system? Why is there any sort of voter suppression or any of that shit? It's just like that sort of thing extends to like the majority of major institutions in America. So it's like you want to fix cops, people are angry and they're screaming defund the police, and I believe that defunding things is a good way to start. But like, where's
It's not going to fix everything though,
it's not going to fix
because
everything.
you need to
It's
fix the criminal justice system. You need to fix that cops need to stop being basically tax collectors for counties and cities as well too,
yeah. Well,
because
that's the other aspect. Yeah.
it's like why are the cops that are essentially a public service for the community having to essentially collect taxes in a sense by writing tickets, fines, misdemeanors, and all that stuff, when you look at other public services like animal control or ambulance or firefighters, they don't need to actually show that they make money, you know
Yeah.
why
Yeah. Like
why do cops have to do that?
yeah, like a quota is a
Yeah.
fucked up thing. 'Cause, like, the amount of times that I've been stopped. I mean, I was with my mom like a few years ago, and I don't remember, we were going together, but we got pulled over, and her like back light was out or something, and it was a first offense. It was like we didn't know, but the woman was assertive and angry and put a flashlight on us, and we're like the two whitest, most chill people. Like, and she acted as if we were criminals and wrote a ticket without even hearing us, and it was because it was the end of the month,
Yeah.
and like,
And
that's fucked
everybody
up.
knows that. As much as cops will try to deny it, we know that there's a quota. It
Yeah.
and we know that they have to generate revenue. Like, how fucked up is that? Why should people that are
Industry.
supposed to I know it's an industry, but it's like when you think of the idea of a police officer that's supposed to protect and serve the community to make it safer, why should they have to generate revenue like that? Why should private prisons and private jails have to worry about making sure they get the money from the county, city, or state to ensure that they're still being profitable? And then they work out deals with whatever city, county, state they're in to ensure that, hey, we're seeing X amount of people going in and out of this here, so they can charge it back to whomever. How fucked up is that, man? It's so fucked.
Yeah. I feel like you could just say, how fucked up is that, to like so many, like,
God.
it's you're saying it about like a few specific things, but it's like those things are connected to like 10 other things.
Oh, I know, and it's like that's what gets me with the whole cop thing. Like, it's so, to me, it's so easy to say defund the police. Yes, I'm not saying I disagree with that. But it's like that doesn't fix it though.
No.
There's like 5 million other things. It's just like we're saying.
Right.
It's like I
Yeah,
don't know.
and the defund the police, the people that believe defund the police, a lot of it is a philosophical mindset change, and that's one of the hardest things to do in America. That's a big issue that I have with that whole movement. It's not an issue that I have because I believe it, but you have to be an extremely optimistic person, I think, to believe that sort of thing can happen in this country. And a lot of the time, like, I've lost a lot of my optimism. I'm pretty pessimistic about Americans and America and a lot of the world. But like, to defund the police, a lot of the end goal is to make community servants and to have services in a community. It's about bringing community together.
Hmm.
It's about asking people to be responsible and care about each other more, and asking more of the individual person than relying on one sole entity that can, have too much power or whatever. And
Yeah.
those things are great ideas, right? There's the idea that like you and your neighbors are working together to keep each other safe, and um, there might be a group of people that are police-like, but their responsibilities are lesser, and they don't wield as much power. That sort of thing is an ideal. That's something that's to be worked towards, and like is hopeful that could one day be that way. But that's like to say defund the police and then hope that that's the sort of thing that can happen in any sort of period of time other than like straight up generations and like world changing events. Like I just don't think America's in the place to do things like that. We're
Yeah.
not even in the place to like we're still dealing with calling people like Bernie Sanders like communists, dude. Like you think we
God,
can like
right.
you think we're at any point to be like, oh yeah, like we don't need the police because our community's working together. People fucking don't care about each other in this country because that's the way America is. Like nobody gives a shit about their neighbor. Like I don't care what you say. Like the majority of us like talk shit about our neighbors. Like they don't fucking trim their tree or like their driveway's a mess or whatever the fuck. Like we like and that's just like a lot of Americans in general. Like nobody like to ask
Oh, I'm
of
guilty
some.
of that. My neighbors
Yeah, we
right
all
here,
are.
they're fucking assholes.
We all are guilty of it. Like every one of us are.
Yeah.
But that's part of like being American in like a shitty way. We
Yeah.
we pretend like, and I see a lot of it in the South. There's that like weird fake Southern charm of like, hey, I saw you in church and like whatever. And I feel like a lot of that is superficial and just like super fucking like phony. Where
It
it's just
can be,
like, yeah,
yeah.
I'm a Christian and I care about my neighbor, but really they go back and they talk to their friends and they're like, did you see what they did? They're a piece of shit. And that's everywhere though. That's not just the South. That's like,
Yeah.
I know New York families that do the same thing. So it's just like, yeah, when you talk about defund the police and make community projects, just remember how much we actually don't like each other. and, and,
Right.
and and that's why
Oh,
we
fuck.
rely on institutions to take care of us because we don't actually give a shit, or the majority of us don't.
And that's the sad thing. So let's change things around a little bit. I've
I'm
got
down.
some questions for you. Um, these are I've been doing something a little new with the podcast, so I never usually have pre-written questions or anything. Like I said, there's usually just a conversation going. But since I've been back podcasting, since my life is getting back to normal, I've decided to do like 10 little questionnaire for like just random questions out there.
Okay.
And figured let's start it off. See if people can learn more about you, right? So
Cool.
first one, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the scariest animal?
What's the scariest animal? That's a shitty question to ask because I love animals and like all insects. I'm the type of person that picks up a spider, any kind of spider, and brings it outside. Like I don't care. I'm not really scared of many animals. I mean, scariest as in like will fuck you up, I guess.
Think of sea creatures too. You know.
Oh, that's a good one. But I'm also fascinated by those. I did a report on like hatchet fish and deep sea animals when I was a kid because I liked them so much. I'm like, this is a hard question for me. The scariest animal, um, for I say that and then I have a really funny answer. Horses kind of fucking weird me out.
Okay.
I don't know. They're just like big and muscular, and I've
They
never ridden
are.
a horse or like rode a horse, rode, I don't know. And like, I just feel like
Yeah, I haven't been around horses that
taking
much.
you just take like one good kick and you're donezo. Like
Right.
ribs and chest shattered and like, or like falling off, break an arm, collarbone, leg, whatever. It's just like, I feel like we've evolved past the point of riding horses, and I don't know why people do it anymore. Like, it's cool, you know,
Yeah.
and tend to your land and ride your animal, I guess. But I'm like, at the same
Try,
time,
try,
just kind of
try to
like,
feel more connected to nature.
yeah, I guess so. There's something beautiful about it, I'm sure, for people that take care of horses and raise them and
Yeah.
ride them or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Horses they're fucking. It's a
Well,
weird
hey,
answer to that
no,
question.
I like it. I like it. What's the best sandwich?
Ooh, you're talking to somebody that goes to the deli every day of his life and gets a
I know
sandwich.
you're in fucking New York City, where probably like some of the best sandwiches are made.
I just get like good sandwiches all the time. The best sandwich, something that I get often. I love a good chicken cutlet with melted cheese. Could be cheddar. I like cheddar. Bacon and Russian dressing, lettuce, tomato on a roll is pretty damn
Ooh,
good.
that
It's
sounds
hard. It's hard to
good.
beat something like that, and a lot of New York delis make that really well.
Damn, that sounds good.
Yeah, Russian dressing on a chicken sandwich with like bacon and cheese on it is like pretty damn good. That's like the go-to, for me.
Sounds good. What's your least favorite smell?
Mm, damn, that's a good question too. My least favorite smell. Other people's body odor when it's like really unkept. I
Yeah.
hate that. And that's as somebody that like in New York City I experience quite frequently. Like the
Oh,
homeless
I bet.
population.
Yeah.
Like there are times where I was on the subway and I'll hold my breath for extended periods of time. And I've pushed my limit with how long I can hold my breath
Wow.
around people
Damn.
before. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
But I'm also a little bit of like a germaphobe to a degree. So I will like
Oh, I bet COVID didn't help at all.
no, not at all. I mean, you think I ever want to get on the subway again? Hell no, man.
Oh, man.
Hell no.
Fuck. All right. What's your favorite smell? Go the opposite now.
My favorite smell. Probably like fresh cut grass in the spring or summer.
Interesting. I like that smell, though.
It's a good smell. It's like or like after a rainy day and then it gets warm
Yeah.
again, like a sun shower, and you can smell like the evaporation off of like the concrete or rocks,
So,
and it
fresh
smells
cut
like
grass
earthy.
after a rainstorm.
Like all of that together is
Yeah.
like peak enjoyment because it's like it's all at once nostalgic, hopeful, and like refreshing and night like and you know, I say that as a New Yorker though, because like we go through long periods of time where everything's gray and cold and you don't go outside, and then when that hits, when summer or spring hits, and you get that sense of like, well, next couple months are going to be all right, and it's gonna, you know, you feel the sun and everything's good. It's kind of like the best.
That's awesome. All right. All right. So, you get one song to listen to for the rest of your life. What is it? Any song.
Toto, Africa by Toto.
Okay. Hey, you said the OG, not Weezer. So, not the Weezer one wasn't too bad, but
That was pretty good.
I like the
Not as good
OG.
as the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good. All right. What's one thing that you own that you should really throw out?
Thousands of commons and uncommon magic cards. Like thousands of fucking cards that just don't matter at all.
you could
Way too many.
you could sell them to LGS, can't you? Like
I
1,000
could.
for $1 or something like that, or
What else do I own that's really stupid? I have a lot of bullshit. I like well, the video games I like. I have too many guitars. I shouldn't throw it out. I guess most of these stuff I should sell.
yeah.
Throw out is different.
Yeah, is there anything that you own that's like shit? I've been meaning to throw it out, or you kept something and you're like, I don't really want this anymore. But I like the
Not
Magic
really.
card answers because that's a lot of people who play Magic.
I just threw stuff away. You might even be able to see that trash bag
Yeah,
over
I
there,
can.
but
I
like
can see it.
I like to clean a lot. So like I got rid of a shit ton of like old pre-con deck boxes.
hmm
I keep like rares and foils and stuff all together. And then like I have boxes for different colors and commons and stuff. I stay pretty organized with my Magic collection. But like I had like Eldrazi dual decks from original or like Battle for Zendikar
Oh,
and like
nice.
Nissa Planeswalker deck from Kaladesh. And I just like dismantled it, took the good rares and mythics out of it, and then threw away the boxes. There's like way too much cardboard bullshit in my house, like way too
Oh
much.
yeah, dude, and they're so wasteful too with all the packaging for all the
Yeah,
shit.
it's hard.
Like especially
So
secret layer shit. That's way too much waste there.
yeah, I keep those boxes because they look cool, but like I
Yeah,
don't think I'll ever do anything with them. I should probably throw those out too. I don't know.
I think I've still got some of mine somewhere. Uh, next one. What's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
Um, Sometimes when I'm joking, like well, a lot of times it's pretty obvious when I'm joking, but then sometimes
hmm
I really enjoy fucking around and like and knowing that I can have somebody not get it.
Yeah.
sometimes my sense of humor gets in the area of like um people don't get it or they're uncomfortable or something.
You just want to see the reaction out of people.
Yeah, I've always liked that. It's maybe a manipulative thing. It's kind of shitty,
Oh, it
but it's
definitely
not really
is.
though, because it's never like it's never like malicious.
Yeah,
I just like to see. I get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing how people react to stupid shit.
you want to be able to push the boundaries a little bit, see where you can
Yeah,
take it.
yeah. Sometimes.
That's why I love DMing. That's why like I'm one of those
Oh
forever
yeah.
DMs in D&D.
Oh
It's
hell yeah. Yeah, I'm
it's
sure.
like
I would probably love it.
it's I and I don't like when I was younger, like 18, 19. Yeah, I used to do a lot of the stupid, shit back then with DMing, but now it's I just like seeing sort of like what we're saying, just pushing the boundaries a little bit, see how, if I could get them to I don't want to say like fuck, just like you say, like just joking around. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys just fought the three bandits. All right, oh look, there's a beholder coming now. Some stupid shit like that. You know.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, you're called a dungeon master, right?
Yeah.
So you do get to be the master of their fate.
Right. All right. All right, next one. What would you pick for your last meal?
Hmm. Probably a sausage, egg, and cheese with hot sauce on a hero or a roll.
Ooh, that sounds really
And
good.
like some sort of treat afterwards, like a little pastry or and like a drink, like a Snapple or something. That's like my go-to breakfast. I think I've had that like 4 times this week actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not good for my heart,
I don't know, but
but I eat it because I like it.
it sounds good. Speaking of food, if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh shit, dinner. Hmm. Um. What's the name of the dude who recently died who had a TV show?
Talking about Alex
Uh,
Trebek?
no, not Alex Trebek. The cooking he used to travel the world
Oh,
and
Anthony Bourdain?
Anthony Bourdain is definitely one of them. Yeah, I don't know why I forgot his name, but yeah, Anthony Bourdain. He just like I think that one of the things that was fascinating about his show was like how it was always just about like hanging out with people and eating food.
Mm-hmm.
He just seems like a really cool dude. Like I feel like I'd have stuff in common with him and have like a really good conversation. So he would be 100% one of them.
Got two more.
Um, and then the guitarist from Killswitch Engage, uh, Adam D. I don't know if you know that band, but
Nope.
they're like a metalcore like metal band, early 2000s, super popular. But he's hilarious, like really funny and really inspiring to me.
Awesome.
And let me think of a third one. Hmm. Wow, I'm forgetting her name. This sucks. I like whenever I get put on the spot, I always forget names and details and things.
It's okay.
Um,
Maybe I can help you out with the name if you can. Is it a
she's an an
actress?
actress. Have you ever seen Breathless by Godard?
No.
I think her name is like Jean Seberg or something like that.
Gene Seberg. Yep.
Yeah. Um, Probably just because I fell in love with her when I saw that movie.
Oh,
But
nice.
also she just seemed cool. Like that movie's great.
She is very pretty. Yeah.
If you like romantic weird like I mean French New Wave, come on, but it's yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she came to mind. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies, like probably top 5 favorite
Nice.
movie. That's
Nice.
a weird crew of people. It'd be like a 60s era like cool movie actor chick and then like she probably like and then like a guitar metalhead dude and then Anthony Bourdain. It'd actually be fucking awesome. That sounds like the best like Yeah, I'm so glad with I'm happy with those
Yeah,
picks.
that'd be an interesting one to like record and just like just listen to the conversations happening.
Yeah, I would just be stoked to be there. I love that.
That'd be awesome. All right, and our last question, what motivates you to get up in the morning?
Hmm. Oh, well, I have to give my cat medicine every morning, so that's something. Uh, I like breakfast food a lot, but I don't eat until around 2 p.m. most days unless I'm really hungry, and then I'll go get eggs. Um, just something to edit, something to make, making something
Getting the
usually.
creative juices going.
Yeah, like sitting down to edit or stream or see who's streaming or whatever. At least lately, that's really been what's doing it for me. Making
Nice.
something, doing something with the day
Not feeling like you're
for sure.
wasting it away.
Yeah, that's a problem I have. There's no such thing, right? There's like you shouldn't unless you're truly wasting all of your time, and even then, there's an argument to be made that there's no such thing as wasting time as long as your life is what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I struggle with that where I want to do too many things for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Totally 100% understand that. It's something I struggle with every day, especially on my days off where I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not working or anything and maybe I don't have a podcast scheduled or something like that. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
Okay, clean the house. Okay, the house is clean. What the fuck now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Oh, dude. Well, dude, we've been at this for 2 hours, almost 20 minutes now. It's been
I see.
doesn't even feel like that long. Um,
Mm-mm.
it's been awesome, and thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your night for coming on to just chatting with me about pretty much everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love podcasting and talking to people, and I appreciate you asking me to come on. It's been an interesting few weeks for me, few months, year. I got to
Yeah,
meet a
man.
lot of really cool people streaming and just doing this thing that I wouldn't have met otherwise, yourself included. So I'm
Oh,
always
thank you.
happy to hang out, and we should get some EDH games
Hell
before you
yeah.
sell your decks.
Oh no, look, if that happens, like, oh man, my wife. Not only would my wife kill me, but if it came down to that, where like we came to a financial thing where we had to do it, it'd be like I'd be done
Mhm.
with Magic at that point. Be like, I'm done. Like, there's no way I'm getting back into it at
I
that
never
point.
asked, but why would she kill you? Is it just because the investment's going to get better over
She
time?
she know it's nothing to do with money with her. She knows that I love Magic and that she knows I love doing this podcast. She knows like Magic and D&D are like a huge part of my life, right? Because with D&D, I'm like trying to work on publishing my first adventure module right now. And
Hmm.
so she knows like those two things are like my huge passions. Like if you look over here, like that's my game shelf, but then you see all my D&D stuff right
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
tons of books.
Yeah, like the first shelf you see is like fifth edition. Then below that's like Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, the old D&D. Down there is like more Pathfinder and Magic art books and all that. So
That's awesome.
so it's like,
Well, she's for a completely adorable reason. It's because she's a great wife and she cares about you
yeah.
having fun and passions.
Well, she knows like when we hit, because before we got together, I used to have like a huge video game collection. Like this has been gathered for the past like so long. But we came to a point where it was going to be we're either out on the street or we got to make some money to pay rent. And so I had to sell my entire video game collection, like just to be able to make money to pay rent that month because of, I can't remember why, but it was so long ago. So, and she knows like how much that sucked, but I did it for good reason. And she knows again,
Yeah.
I sold my Magic shit because of, good reason, all that stuff. So she told me like, don't do it again. I told her like,
That's so wholesome. I
I
love that.
know,
That makes me
but I told her like, I'll fucking do it again if we have to.
happy. I hope you don't have to. Man.
Oh
I hope
no.
you get to keep all your shit.
Oh, me too. Just pray nothing fucking whatever. But anyways, so no, but thank you again. Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely play. I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. So do you have anything you want to tease that's coming up? So just to let you know, by this episode will air on the 21st this month. So I don't know, because we're recording on May 10th right now. So I don't know if you have anything planned or coming up between then that you want to talk about, or
Yeah, I'm coming up on a year of being on Twitch. I started streaming May, I think 13th or 15th or 18th, one of those days. I don't remember.
Nice.
So I'm going to do a 12-hour stream on that day, and I'm hoping, I mean, I'll post about it. It'll obviously be past at that when the podcast airs, but I'm really excited to celebrate a year. So it'll just be a fun, long stream, just hang out and do a bunch of stuff. Maybe play some EDH. I've been altering cards on stream a bunch, which people
I
like.
saw that. Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
super fun. It's just like a nice way to change it up, because for multiple reasons. One, because sometimes you want to do something different than just playing arena and drafting. And two, drafting is super expensive, and I'm not a pro, so I'm not making money every day while I draft. I spend so much money on Magic in general that it's nice to have other outlets to enjoy the game instead of just pumping money into Watsy's pocket. But so I'll be doing that, and then I have been working with streamer and friend Alias V, who's such a fantastic content creator.
Oh, I love her. She's great.
Yeah, she's great, and I usually don't edit or work for other content creators. I have a full-time job and I make my own stuff. But she asked me to edit her Commander show, which right now is the first 5 episodes we're doing. And the first episode will be done by the end of the month. So hopefully close to when this podcast airs. And maybe a little bit after the first episode of her show will be out. And I've been having a lot of fun. It's basically me fanboying over like game nights and Command Zone. Like I'm animating the commanders and I'm editing the whole
awesome.
show. Yeah, I mean, that's what I do for work. Like, if you come to my stream, like all the channel points redemptions, I animated all of them myself, the starting soon screen. I like doing motion graphics and animations when I can. So, like, it's me getting to try my hand at, like, a more pro-level commander show, and that'll be really fun. So that'll be out at the end of the month. She's just such an inspiration, and she's such a great person to work with. So I'm psyched to do that. And then what else do I have going on? I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting, but mostly just streaming every week. Been having a good time, and trying to get that partnership. So I'm really close. In the next month, hopefully I get to apply and
that'll be awesome.
And have the numbers and just have people hanging out. And I'm always like, my biggest thing with streaming is it's nice to make some money doing it, because obviously it's a lot of work and I work really hard. But I just want more people there. I'm just happy to have more people hanging out and chat and chilling and watching and making more friends doing it. So that's my biggest goal in the next few months. So if you want to come chill and watch me clown out and suck at Magic, or maybe paint a fun card or something, that's where you'll find me.
That's awesome. It's awesome. And the links will be in the show notes below for anybody who wants to check it out. So, thanks again, man, for coming on. It's been great.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much. I had a great time.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Thank you all for watching the show. I hope you all really enjoyed it. I know it was so much fun. I felt like I could have gone at least another hour with Andy there, but I knew I had to stop it, or else, because it's getting a little bit late for me. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the episode. I know I definitely did, and hopefully get to play some EDH with him soon. That'd be really fun. So thank you all again for watching, listening. You were all awesome and amazing, and have a great night. Okay.